At AT&T Park in San Francisco, the New York Mets play the San Francisco Giants. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Citi, proud partner of the New York Mets. By Empire City Casino, real people, real money, real deal. You could be the next big winner. And by Bob's Discount Furniture, shop in store or online at mybobs.com. Well, after an unsuccessful visit to Southern California, the Mets are hoping for better times in the northern part of the state. In the shadow of the Golden Gate, maybe Alcatraz provides a little inspiration. Coit Tower in the distance as the Mets begin a series tonight at AT&T Park. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to San Francisco. I'm Gary Cohen. Keith Hernandez joins me in just a moment as the Mets open a three-game weekend series against the Giants. As Asdrubal Cabrera returned from the disabled list today, but things are not happy in the Mets clubhouse with Cabrera's return. Terry Collins informed Asdrubal when he returned today that he'd be playing second base, not his preferred position of shortstop. Second base, a place where Cabrera's played much, but not since 2014. Cabrera then talked to the media, and that's when things went haywire. Let's hear what both men had to say.
Personally, I'm not really happy with that move. I mean, if they have that plan, they should tell me before coming over here. And I mean, I'm just tell my agent, we tell my agent about it. And if they don't have any plan to me, I mean, I think it's time to make a move, you know. I think that's really good for Cabrera and my family. So I'm going to be there tonight, and I'll try to do my best for the team. So
you say if you're going to be over there, you think it's good for them to make a move? You're talking about trading you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because what I think, what I saw the last couple weeks, I don't think they got any plan for me. So, but I'm talking my agent already, so we got to see what's going to happen the next couple weeks.
Asdrubal, have you instructed your agent to ask them to trade you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not getting into the conversation I had with Asdrubal Cabrera. That is between he and I. I'm not going to do it in the newspapers. I'm not going to do it on TV. It's between he and I. I want it done. It's over. He's playing second base tonight. I know he's unhappy about it, which I just found out, so we're going to move on.
We're going to move on. We're
moving on. What's next?
So if we understand the timeline here, Terry brought Cabrera into the office, told him he was playing second base. Cabrera said he would have preferred a heads up and said he'd do his best. Then he went out and told the media that he wanted to be traded and that he was very upset. Then he went back in and talked to Terry and Sandy Alderson, and they talked about it, and Terry said, if you want to play, you're playing second base.
Well, Terry's the boss, and you saw his frustration, and beyond frustration, his anger. Very upset that this got into the press. I think it was very unwise of Asdrubal to go public with this. It's something that you can keep behind closed doors. It opens up a whole can of worms. This is a ball club that is struggling. They don't need this kind of distraction.
I'm wondering why a player like Cabrera would do that to the media rather than saying directly to the manager and or the general manager if he was upset.
Well, I don't know what's going on in his head. He had the manager right in front of him. He could have said, look, I'm very unhappy. But my feeling is this. You're a player, you're one of 25, and you're a good soldier. I mean, I played a little bit of left field, a little bit of right field when it was needed in St. Louis, and I didn't complain about it. I went out there. I actually looked forward to it. So I don't understand what the thinking is. It's a mystery to me, and it's very unfortunate what's going on right now.
And then the question becomes how, with a team that's already struggling as badly as it is, does it affect the other 24 guys in that clubhouse?
Well, the other 24 got to wipe it out. This is a ball club right now that's really down in the dumps. They got in here late last night. They got their tail kicked in Los Angeles 4 games. They're on a down. This is not needed right now. So as a 24 other 24 players, you just got to wipe it out, go out there and take care of your business. Do what you have to do to help this ball club win.
And the business tonight is to take on a Giants team that's struggling even worse than the Mets. These two teams who met in the wild card game last year are combined 31 games under 500. You see how badly the Giants have struggled, more than 20 games out of first place in the National League West.
And the National League West, that is probably the best division, and it is the best division in the National League, and they are way in the rear, outside the rear view mirror. Bumgarner obviously was a big blow for them, but they are not hitting, they're not pitching. pitching. Their two big RBI bats, Hunter Pence and Buster Posey, do not have less than 30 RBIs in the season. That's very unproductive, and they haven't had a lot of opportunities to score runs.
And the Giants didn't get home till about 5:30 this morning after a rain-delayed game in Atlanta to make things even worse. Seth Lugo makes the start for the Mets tonight, returning to the scene of his first big league start last year.
Well, it's his third start, and he's had one decent start, and his last outing was a little difficult with Washington. He's a sinker-slider pitcher. The defense has got to pick it up for him. He is a contact pitcher, sinker-slider, hits a lot of ground balls. They need to make the plays behind him.
Mets continue a stretch where they're facing a lot of left-handed pitching. The soft-tossing lefty Ty Block goes for the Giants.
Well, he's the one that took over when Bumgarner went down. He's had it's kind of a so-so 500 pitcher right now. As Gary said, a control pitcher, soft tosser. We'll see how he pitches tonight.
So the Mets begin a series in San Francisco, trying to get the ship righted. Heading on the cable car downtown. It's the Mets and the Giants. All the action coming your way on SNY. He was young and vital. He had an oar with him. He came up shy.
How many years ago was that?
That's a lot of years ago.
I'll say.
Out in McCovey Cove. Crush home runs and dominate your very own Derby competition in the official MLB.com Home Run Derby game on the App Store and Google Play. Swing for the fences against more than 10 million players from around the world as your favorite Derby All-Star. Download Home Run Derby for free today. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Nationwide. Speak with James Finaro in Bethpage or Stephen Principe in East Meadow today. By New York Community Bank and the NYCB family of banks. Visit them at mynycb.com. And by Toyota, tested, trusted Toyota. Toyota, let's go places. Mets and Giants in the city by the bay. First pitch from San Francisco is coming right up.
We're in a bad stretch.
You know, they're frustrated.
No excuses, just bad.
Pitching's frustrated.
It's definitely been a roller coaster ride up and down.
Hitters are frustrated.
We're playing horrible right now.
It's hard because I know these guys.
It's frustrating.
I know them like they're my kids.
Right now, we need to turn it around sooner than later because it's late June.
I know how they feel about it.
But definitely just have to stay positive and keep moving forward.
Walks and home runs have killed us.
That's kind of a difficult situation.
It's one thing we have never done. We haven't done here in years.
Nothing going through our way.
We don't walk guys, and we don't give up a lot of home runs. And right now, we're doing both.
We just got to leave it behind us. You can't change the past now.
You got to be a professional. You got to go and be ready to do your job tomorrow.
That's our goal right now. Get to 500 and try to go from there.
We got to win 3 games in San Francisco. I think that's our mindset.
I mean, we feel like we need to turn it around. I mean, one way or the other.
You got to execute. This is the major leagues. We got to execute better. Period. On both sides and everything we're doing.
Tonight's quotes of the game presented by Investors Bank, banking in your best interest. Mets have lost 7 of 8, and you can hear the frustration dripping from voice after voice. The good news is, after playing the Nationals and the Dodgers, 2 of the best teams in baseball these last 8 games, Mets get a little respite in the schedule, playing the Giants, the Marlins, and the Phillies these next 3 series, but now they have to try and take advantage. There's the starting lineup for the Mets tonight. Michael Conforto back in the lineup after sitting the last 2 days. Curtis Granderson has hit leadoff home runs against left-handers each of the last 2 days. And he'll face another lefty tonight. Asdrubal Cabrera, after missing 10 games, back in the lineup at an unaccustomed position, causing much controversy, but he is on the field as the Mets square off against rookie lefty Ty Blach.
Well, Ty Blach replaced Bumgarner in the rotation when Bumgarner went down. And he's 4-4 on the year. He's very curiously, I noticed, he's born on October 20th. So he's born on the same date as Mickey Mantle and Juan Marichal.
And
me.
And you.
Moi. He's a Libra, born on the cusp of Scorpio. And a Coors Light, Giants defense. The youngster, Austin Slater, Stanford University. He's been called up recently. He's in left field, hitting over 300. Off to a good hot start. A lot of guys sitting the bench today. Connor Gillespie gets the start at third base. Just activated. Nick Hundley will catch. This ball club came home, as Gary noted, very, very early this morning from Atlanta.
They got in their beds about 6 a.m. and so no Buster Posey and no Hunter Pence, notably, in the lineup for the Giants tonight. Curtis Granderson leads off for New York on the heels of back-to-back leadoff home runs. Ty Block's first pitch of the game is a fastball in for a strike, and we're underway. Block making his 12th start of the year. And the breaking ball outside, 1-1. By hitting the 2 leadoff home runs the last 2 nights against Rich Hill and Hyunjin Ryu, Curtis Granderson became only the 2nd left-hand hitter ever to hit back-to-back leadoff homers against lefties. And he has a base hit to start this game as he gets one under the glove of Joe Panik and into right field. And so Granderson's aboard to start the night.
Well, Curtis continues to swing a pretty hot bat. And that's an in-between hop for Panik out there. Tough chance. Both teams here, the Giants and the Mets, are kind of in a doldrum right now. Really struggling. The Giants are really been struggling.
Giants have lost 9 of their last 10. The Mets have lost 7 of their last 8. So something's got to give, right? It's the irresistible force meeting the immovable object.
Or in reverse.
So here is Cabrera, who's gotten all the pregame attention tonight. And as Terry Collins said, he may not be happy, but he's going to play second base. And here he is in the lineup playing second base and batting second. And the intriguing part about this entire affair, Keith, is that when you break it all down from Asdrubal Cabrera's best interest point of view, he is so much better off making himself a more versatile player, especially with the knowledge that with this team struggling, at some point this season, Ahmed Rosario is going to come up and play shortstop. And if Cabrera can play other positions, he makes himself that much more valuable.
And he needs to play. So play where they want you to play. You know, he can play third base for that matter. So I understand to a degree. You know, he's a shortstop. He doesn't want to give it up. And there's Cabrera's. What are those things there, Gary?
Mini countryman player profile. He's only played 1 game at third base in his career, and that was a discussion earlier this year. But the Mets' feeling was he's played so much second base, he should be able to step right in there. He flares one behind first base. Belt going back, and that lands fair, a base hit. Granderson on his way to third. He'll be held up there. Heading for second, Cabrera, and he is tagged out by Crawford for the first out of the night. So Cabrera trying to stretch a bloop single into a double is gunned down as Brandon Belt did a great job retreating and getting off an accurate throw. 3-6 on the put out at second base as Granderson winds up at third.
Well, this is the Texas leaguer down the right field line, gets jammed here, and he's hustling out of the box. And it's just as you noted, Gary, this is just a heck of a play. Good read by Curtis. He feels that right away. He didn't hesitate. This ball was going to drop, and he was correct. And this was the nice play. The bare hand and alertly to second base and a perfect strike. And
so the Mets have a runner at third with 1 out for Yoenis Cespedes. The infield will play back for the Giants. And Cespedes takes a fastball strike.
This has always been a Giant team. Brandon Belt over at first base, always playing off the line, and he's way off the line here over at first base.
Cespedes a dozen games since he came back from the disabled list, hitting .368 over that span. And Block comes up and in 1-1.
I have not seen a first baseman. There you go. It has played that far off in a long, long time.
Not since some guy named Hernandez used to.
With a guy like
Mosey over there.
With a guy like Dave Kingman up.
Good cut by Cespedes. 1-2. Block needing a strikeout with Granderson at third and 1 out. And Cespedes grounds one just foul. Now, teams have really taken to attacking Cespedes repeatedly with fastballs up.
Fastballs up in the strike zone, and not necessarily, there's no preference. Up and away, up and in, and a lot of good breaking ball. Then just stretch of left-handers, the breaking ball down and in, which he's been pulling foul.
Mets are facing Block for the first time. He came up late last year, made a couple of starts. In the air, the shortstop Crawford gets under it, and Granderson can go nowhere, and that's the second out.
Another up fastball, Gary.
So Cespedes unable to get the run home. And now with 2 out, it's left to Wilmer Flores. Wilmer, after a long hot stretch, has really hit the skids. 0 for 9 and 4 for his last 41.
Beautiful Bay Area. Look at the San Francisco Bay looking east.
Lots of sailboats out on the bay.
Yeah, it's windy.
Early evening hour.
It's a great sailboat country here with the winds. Always the winds out here in the bay.
Of course, a wind that is cut back by the architecture of this ballpark. They structured it perfectly to cut down on some of the howling winds. Curveball line the other way, and Flores has a base hit, and that'll bring in the first run of the game. Granderson is in to score. Wilmer Flores with an RBI single, and the Mets take the early 1-0 lead.
Oh, maybe that'll get Wilmer going. Wilmer been mired in a slump. And this is a breaking ball away, and he went right with it. Nice hitting, Wilmer.
Well, the Mets have not had problems scoring in the first inning. In fact, it's the 3rd straight day they've taken a first inning lead on this road trip. Here's Conforto back in the lineup after a couple of days off, and he takes low and away for ball 1.
Michael been struggling also.
Came off the bench in a big spot last night in the 8th inning with the bases loaded. Popped up the first pitch he saw, and he lays off the slider, and it's 2-0. Ty Blach, 26 years old, grew up in Denver, had a college career in Omaha at Creighton University, 5th-round draft pick by the Giants in 2012. And Conforto flies one down the left field line, and that lands foul right near the bullpen. 2-1. Well, those are the standings in the National League East up to the moment. Nationals are opening a series against Cincinnati tonight. They're tied 5-5 in the 8th.
Well, as Terry said, got to pick it up.
Well, and Sandy Alderson acknowledged that, you know, we're realistic about where we are right now, and he said that while there are no deals out there right now in the middle of June, the Mets certainly understand where they are, and with so many free agents, and Cabrera potentially is one of them, the Mets could well be sellers before the trading deadline, but they're not there yet.
Well, it's just throw it out there because you never know what might come your way. We're open to any and everything.
Slider off the plate and the full count to Conforto. And Belt tells Block that he'll play behind Flores at first base. Travis d'Arnaud, who had a good series in L.A., waiting on deck. Interesting, the lineup we got had Duda hitting behind Conforto. That's lined toward the middle, a base hit for Conforto. Flores will go first to third, and the Mets have runners at the corners, their 4th hit of the inning. And this is interesting because the lineup we got had Duda hitting 6th and d'Arnaud hitting 7th. And d'Arnaud is coming up in the 6th spot. And in fact, the lineup that's up on the board here also has Duda hitting 6th and d'Arnaud 7th. So the only one that really matters is the one that's in the home plate umpire's pocket that was presented during the home plate meeting. So whether the Mets are batting out of order or not, we don't know.
I don't think so.
So somebody got the wrong information at some point.
So that changes my scorecard.
Well, everybody's. See, that's the way it's written up on the board, and the way everybody got the lineup that was presented to the media. But of course, all that matters is what's presented to Mike Estabrook, the home plate umpire. Of course, if you're the opposing manager and the other team hits out of order, you don't call it to anybody's attention unless the improper batter gets a hit, and then you can bring it to the umpire's attention. And then there are 17 pages of rules in the official baseball rule book about what happens then. So 1-1 to d'Arnaud, who went 3 for 10 in the series in LA and has really torn up lefties in limited at bats. He's hitting .414 against left-hand pitching with 3 home runs.
And 29 at bats to be exact, Gare. And he's also has 7 extra base hits, 3 doubles, a triple, and a home run. So he's hit with some thunder against lefties.
Flores at third, Conforto at first with 2 out, and d'Arnaud hits a tapper to Panic. Down to a knee to get it, and that retires the side. The Mets get 4 first-inning hits, but just the 1 run, and lead at 1-0 as the Giants come to bat. Pence with their late arrival. Austin Slater, since coming up a couple of weeks ago, has been swinging the bat well. So has Denard Span in the leadoff spot. Giants 21 games under 500 starting the ninth. They throw 5 lefties out there against Lugo.
And there's Seth Land Rover numbers, and only 2 starts thus far since coming off the disabled list. Acquitted himself well. Throws strikes. He's a strike thrower.
Made his first big league start here last August, a 3-1 loss to the Giants. Pitched well in that game into the 7th inning. Denard Span leads off. First pitch by Lugo, a fastball in for a strike. Span now 33 years old. His bat is picked up, hitting .406 over the last 9 games. Connor Gillespie on deck, and then Joe Panic for the Giants, with Lugo staked to a 1-0 lead on Wilmer Flores' RBI hit. And that's lined into center field, and Panic and Span stays hot with a leadoff base hit.
Fastball right down the middle and down where most lefties like it. Most hitters today like it. And we'll see what happens, Gary, on this series. We are not in a home run friendly ballpark, but neither was Dodger Stadium.
Dodger Stadium never has been. This has been the least home run friendly ballpark in the majors this season. Giants are dead last in the National League in home runs, but they are a contact team. Here's Connor Gillespie, fresh off the disabled list and back into the bad graces of Mets fans. Of course, he was the villain in last year's wild card game. Hit the 3-run homer off J. Reese Familia in the 9th inning that pushed the Giants ahead and ended the Mets season.
The most unlikeliest of heroes.
He's missed the last 39 games with back spasms, and he's hitting just .133 for the season. So perhaps Joe Hardy's deal with the devil has run out.
You're very funny. Where's Lola?
Whatever Lola wants. Gillespie, a journeyman player, 29 years old, actually was originally drafted by the Giants and then went elsewhere before returning last year to be a hero. And he takes the curveball low and in from Lugo, 2-1.
Ray Walston played the devil in that movie, if I'm correct.
He did. Talking about damn Yankees.
Yes, we are.
Joe Panik, New York native, waiting on deck. Span, not the base stealer he once was, but he's stolen 3 this year. And he's running. Hit and run play. Cabrera gets in front of it, his first chance at second base, and he handles it cleanly. Span moves up on the hit and run, and that's the first out. The last game Cabrera played at second base was in 2014. This is his 198th career start at second base. You know, for all the talk about Cabrera, earlier this year the Mets approached Cabrera about possibly moving to third base. And at the time, he and his agent got involved in conversations with the Mets front office about the potential move. And he said, well, if you exercise my option for next year, and the Mets have an option for, I think it's $8.5 million next year, then I'll move to third. And the Mets said, well, we're not going to do that. In fact, Sandy Alderson said today, we've never exercised an option on a player in the middle of a season like that. And we're not going to do it now. And then that came up again today. The difference between him moving to third and moving to second, in the Mets' view, was that he's played second before. Fly ball out to Granderson in right. Plenty of room out there in Triple's alley. And he makes the grab, and Span will go over to third. So 2 away.
The Lexus Met defense. Curtis out in right field. That's a new one right there. A little twist. He's been swinging the bat good. Terry looking for offense. Cabrera, of course. We know all about him at second base. And Darno behind the plate.
Now Brandon Belt hitting cleanup. Belt leads the Giants with 13 home runs, but he's hitting just .226, well below his norm. Runner at third with 2 out. And he lines one toward the right field line, and that'll go into the corner for a base hit. In to score is Span with the tying run. Granderson's throw to second base is not in time. Belt has an RBI double, and the Giants have tied the game at 1. 32nd run batted in for Brandon Belt. So a 2-out hit. Plates a run for San Francisco.
Low ball hitter, Belt, not having a good year, hitting .226. He's got 13 home runs. He's a big, strong kid. But 72 strikeouts, Gary, and my goodness, we're not even close to the All-Star. Well, we're getting close to the All-Star break.
Here's the rookie Austin Slater. 62 big league at bats since he's been called up. 8th round pick out of Stanford in 2014, and he's gotten off to a hot big league start, hitting a .323. Left field has been something of a revolving door for the Giants this year, and Slater the latest to find his way in front, and he takes a strike, 1-1. Fastball strike, 1-2 to Slater. So each team with a 2-out RBI hit in the opening inning. Flores for the Mets, Belt for the Giants. Brandon Crawford would be next. One-two coming, and it's fouled away. Ship channel.
That's loaded up, isn't it? I wouldn't want to be on the high seas with that in a storm.
Well, I'd worry about some of those containers.
Top heavy, you think?
Yeah. on the outside corner, and Slater is caught looking, and that gets Lugo through the opening inning. Belt's RBI double ties it up 1-1 after 1 in San Francisco. New York, we think.
Yes, you're right.
Ty Blach gets the fastball in for a strike. If you weren't with us in the first inning, the lineup distributed to the media had Duda hitting 6th and d'Arnaud 7th, but d'Arnaud batted 6th and now Duda hitting in the 7th spot. And he flies one out to left field. Slater going back, way back, and it's over his head and off the base of the wall. That ball carried well for Duda. He heads for second and slides in safely with a leadoff double. So an opposite field 2-base hit for Duda to start it for the Mets in the second. His 13th double of the year.
Well, not played well by Slater here. He got turned around. This ball's always going to fade. A ball that's going to be, it's going to be like a Lee Trevino slice. He wasn't going to get there anyway. Short hop the wall. That's how strong Lucas is.
So the Mets have their 5th hit through the first 7 batters against Ty Blach. And now Jose Reyes sitting 8th in the order. And Reyes pops one up shallow right with the angle. Panic goes out and makes the basket catch in a ballpark where Willie Mays is honored, although he never played. Panic honors Mays by making the basket catch. 1 out.
And if this was in old Candlestick Park, this would not be an automatic. You would be holding your breath. Any pop-up in that old Candlestick was uncharted territory. Uses 2 hands also. Well done. I dropped a pop-up. I didn't even come close to catching it. It dropped 10 feet from me in Candlestick Park in foul territory, Garrett, once.
At least it was foul.
Yes. Yes. It was embarrassing, though, but it's kind of cool because, you know, I grew up watching the Giants at Candlestick, and they're, you know, watching foul balls get botched, and it happened to me. I joined the club.
Change up to Lugo, and Blocks in front 0-2. Well, when the wind is blowing, you take nothing for granted. And the wind blows here. If you hit the ball high enough, the wind comes over the top of the stadium and you can play tricks with it. But they did such a great job sealing off the bowl of the stadium that none of the wind comes through. It's what they need to do in Atlanta. They need to seal off the top of that stadium and cut down the wind a little bit. But they've done a great job here with the architecture.
The wind blows from out to right field, and the flags above the stadium, which are have all the Giants championships, that doesn't really reflect it right there.
But you see the panels between the roof and the top of the seating? That's a really important feature there, so no wind comes through. 2-2 now,
yes,
Lugo.
There's no doubt.
That's
now
the
those
kind
are
of paneling they need in Atlanta.
Can they open them up? Are they like blinds, or they're perpetually closed?
I think those are permanent.
Okay.
But you see in center field how the flags blow because of the wind coming over the top. Pulled down to third, past Gillespie and down the line. Duda goes to third. He'll be waved on in. Lugo heads to second base. He's in with an RBI double, and the Mets go back in front 2-1. So Seth Lugo with his second hit of the season and his second double.
First RBI in the year, Gare. Off the line, and I can't blame you. You're going to play a pitcher. You're going to play him to the opposite field, even though you got a soft tosser out there. Lucas could not advance until he was sure that ball got through.
Second career run batted in for Lugo, and so the Mets back in front 2-1. And now Granderson, who singled and scored in the first inning. So it's an unsteady beginning for Ty Blach. He's faced 9 batters and given up 6 hits. Mets might have had more in the first inning, but for that fine play by Belt, throwing out Cabrera, trying to stretch a single into a double. And now a pair of doubles for the Mets here in the second from the bottom part of the batting order. And Granderson takes outside 2-0. I have a theory as to why the lineup was changed, if indeed it was changed. Originally in the lineup we had, Conforto and Duda, the 2 lefties, were back to back. Now the Giants on their roster until this afternoon only had 1 lefty in their bullpen. That gets away from Hundley, and over to third goes Lugo on the wild pitch.
I got a Bochy going to bring the infield in with their ball club so starved for runs. I believe he is.
So I was going to say the Giants today activated a second lefty. They brought up Stephen Okert from the minors and DFA'd Brian Morris, and it might have been when Terry found that out that he decided to split up the 2 lefties.
I would think, Gary, that would be correct.
3-0 to Granderson, and he drives one out to right. That'll get a run in. Hernandez has it. Lugo tags. He'll come in on the sacrifice fly, and it's 3-1 New York. So Granderson continues his fine hitting. His sacrifice fly, his 28th run batted in, and the Mets now have a 2-run lead. So the wild pitch proves costly for the Giants. And now has Dribble Cabrera with 2 out.
There's Bruce. He's not used to this kind of year.
3 World Series championships this decade.
You know, and it all started last year, the second half of the season, Gary, with this ball club. It's carried over into this year.
Last year they did not have their usual even year success. It's been so strange with the Giants this decade. The odd years have been dreadful, but the even years, 3 titles. And Bochy may be heading for Cooperstown someday. There's another flare off the bat of Cabrera, and he's 2 for 2. So after a pop fly that fell in on the right field line last time, a little duck snort this time, and Cabrera has his second hit of the night. So regardless of position, Cabrera able to convert a couple of hits his first 2 times up, and the longtime pitching coach for the Giants, Dave Righetti, will pay Ty Blach a visit.
It's a nice gig for Dave Righetti, being the Giants pitching coach. He's a Bay Area kid, grew up down the peninsula, down the West Bay, a little further south than me.
Well, they haven't all been hit hard, but Ty Blach has faced 11 batters and now given up 7 hits. So Righetti trying to provide some counsel for his young left-hander. Blach should be the most rested player on either team. He flew ahead of the rest of the Giants Didn't wait around for their game in Atlanta last night, so he is fully rested, but struggling. And now Cespedes takes one up high for ball one. Cespedes popped up his first time up. The Mets got to their hotel about 2:30 this morning, which is fairly routine, flying after a night game. The Giants didn't get home till about 5:30 or 6. That's taken low and in 2-0. That's because they had a 7:30 scheduled game in Atlanta, and then a long rain delay that made that game not end until about 12:30 Eastern time, and then a cross-country flight. Something that is going to change with the new basic agreement next year. If a team has to fly more than one time zone away, the getaway day game will not be allowed to start later than 5 o'clock.
And I think that's wise, proper thing to do.
Cespedes gets a hold of one to deep left field. Slater goes back near the wall. It's out of here. Yoenis Cespedes with a 2-run homer, his 9th of the year. And the Mets have put up a 4th spot in the second inning and lead 5-1. So Cespedes clobbers one out of AT&T Park. His 9th home run, his 17th and 18th runs batted in. And the Mets are putting it to Ty Blach. 8 hits in the first inning and 2/3, and they lead 5-1.
This was a no-doubter and a high fastball, Gary, that he got. That's what's been beating him lately. Well, he got this one.
Looked like he was ready for it. Now Flores, who drove in the first Met run with an opposite field 2-out hit in the first.
Oh boy, right down the middle. You should pay the fiddler for that one.
Well, it's been the game plan against Cespedes. You get it up in the strike zone. Pitchers have been having success with that, but not that time.
8 hits given up. Whew.
Only 12 batters faced. 8 hits. And now Flores hooks one foul.
I don't have any answers for him.
Well, there's no warm-up action going in the Giants bullpen. So Bruce Bochy needs his young left-hander to try and work this out. Two coming, and Flores takes one the other way for a base hit.
Wow.
That'll go down into the corner. Wilmer heads for second. Hernandez's throw, and Flores arrives safely with a 2-out double. And Wilmer is 2 for 2.
Both hits to the opposite field for Wilmer. Same pitch, down and away, went right with it. So those are good signs for Wilmer coming out. Remember, he is just always worn out left-handers. And he has been struggling lately. Coming into the game, hitting .273 against left-handers. Well, he's lifted that up a bit.
2 for 2 today, a single and a double. So 9 Met hits through the first 13 batters. And now Conforto, who had a base hit to center field his first time up, his first hit on this road trip, and takes a breaking ball out of the strike zone. Pretty good throw by Hernandez.
Oh, it's on target.
And the curveball drops in for a strike, 1-1. Conforto, the 8th man up in the inning. Travis d'Arnaud waits on deck.
Still a nice crowd here for a very struggling Giant ball club.
That's driven to center field, chasing Span back, away back. It's over his head and up against the wall. Flores races home. Conforto into second. They trade places with 2 base hits, and the Mets lead it 6-1.
Well,
and the Mets are just tattooing Ty Blach.
There's not any field mice hit here. These are all shots. And that's going to have to get some activity up in that Giant bullpen, or else it just concede this game. If it continues, this is a beating.
Well, Conforto needed this. Sat the last 2 days against left-handers, getting the start tonight, and he's 2 for 2 with a single and a double. His 39th run batted in. And now d'Arnaud, the 9th man up in the inning. Travis grounded out to end the first inning. 5 runs home in the second, still no warm-up action, and the changeup outside, ball 1. By the way, with all the confusion about the Mets batting order, the fact that Duda got a double leading off in the second and Bruce Bochy did not raise an objection means that the official batting order is the one the Mets are following, regardless of what was distributed to the media earlier in the day. And they have now corrected it out there on the board. A manager, an opposing manager, is not going to object to a team batting out of order until one of the improper batters does something positive. And once Duda got that double and there was no reaction from Bochy, that tells you that all is in order. 2-1 now to d'Arnaud.
Didn't we have a game, Gare, a long time ago where the manager, I don't know if it was if it was Willie Randolph or an opposing manager, that came out before anything happened? It was an other team where the Mets were hitting out of order. I remember a manager coming out before and totally blew it.
Made the mistake of calling it to the umpire's attention too soon. That's a fair ball going down the right field line. That'll bring in Conforto with the 6th run of the inning. d'Arnaud has the Mets' 3rd straight 2-out double, and it's now 7-1 New York.
Good Lord.
And the Mets just keep on pounding on poor young Ty Blach. Extra base hit after extra base hit. That's the Mets' 6th extra base hit of this inning, and they've scored 6 runs, and finally we're going to get some action moving down toward the Giant bullpen.
Woo. And when you got a team that's down and you get on top early, they usually are going to lay down and take a nap.
Well, whoever the Giants want to get up in the bullpen, he's not there yet. They've got the bullpen catcher, they've got the bullpen coach, and they've got the guy who's standing guard already, but they don't have a pitcher down there. Now, there goes the pitcher. That'll be Corey Guerin, who will run down to the bullpen and start to warm up.
Very
so
nice.
The Mets with 6 runs home in the inning, and now Duda, who started the inning, takes a call strike. Duda got it started with a double over the head of the left fielder Slater, and the Mets have scored 6 runs in this inning, 1 shy of their season high. And now Blach gets ahead, 0-2.
Bochy just wants one more out. Can you get out of this inning?
That's with 7 runs and 11 hits through their first 15 batters. That's unheard of. And Hundley gets down to block that one, and keeps keeps d'Arnaud from going to third. 1-2. Duda doubled. Lugo doubled him home to put the Mets in front. Granderson with a sac fly. And then with 2 out, a bloop hit by Cabrera, a 2-run homer for Cespedes, and 3 straight doubles from Flores, Conforto, and d'Arnaud to put together a 6-run inning. .33 pitches already in this inning for Blach. And Duda takes the changeup down, and it's 2-2.
Well, this is going to put a major hurt on his ERA coming into the game at the 4.23. It is going to skyrocket. I can't imagine Bochy sending him out there for the 3rd inning.
He pitched at Coors Field his last time out and fared a lot better than this. Grounded down to the right side, panicked down to a knee, and he throws out Duda, and the inning comes to an end. But 10 Mets come to bat, 6 extra base hits in the inning, 6 runs. 2 of them on one big swing by NYN Cespedes. His 9th home run of the year, a 2-run shot. And the Mets have themselves a 7-1 lead as we go to the bottom of the second in San Francisco. dressed for the weather. Seth Lugo staked to a 6-run lead. Gets first pitch curveball into Brandon Crawford. Crawford hitting just .241, hitless in his last 12 at bats. Lugo gave up a first inning run, a hit to Span, a 2-out double to Belt. But Lugo's double put the Mets in front, and the Mets expanded the inning, scored 6 runs, and now it's 7-1. Crawford, then Nick Hundley and Gorkys Hernandez for the Giants in the second against Lugo, who's making just his 3rd start of the year. He's pitching with a partially torn ligament in his elbow that the Mets hope that they can finesse. It's the same injury that Masahiro Tanaka has been pitching with for the last 2 years for the Yankees. Tanaka, interestingly enough, has a shutout into the 8th inning tonight after being beat around lately. Lugo behind 3-1, and there's a fastball strike, 3-2. They still sell out every game here in San Francisco, but they've had a few more no-shows lately with the Giants' lack of success. Still a pretty good crowd tonight for the Giants' start of a homestand.
Everybody's been affected by this Giant lack of production. There's a reason for it. Crawford hitting .241, having a down season.
546 consecutive sellouts, including the postseason here in San Francisco. That's outside, ball 4. So after being staked to a 6-run lead, Lugo walks the leadoff batter in the second. Nick Hundley coming up. Let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve.
Well, Gary, you guys have been talking generally about how brutal of a schedule the San Francisco Giants had last night, traveling from Atlanta to San Francisco, but we break it down now point by point, give you the exact specifics. The game was supposed to start at 7:35. It was delayed an hour and 25 minutes, so first pitch wasn't until 9 p.m. Eastern. Game ended at 12:39 in the morning. The Giants didn't leave SunTrust Park until 1:40, didn't take off until 2:41 a.m. They landed in San Francisco at 4:50 in the morning, so 7:50 the time they were used to, and got back to AT&T Park here at 5:30 a.m. Pacific time. So they didn't take any BP. There was a late report time today, but that is about as bad as you could possibly get in terms of travel and then playing the next day.
The only thing that would have been worse is if they had a day game.
That would have been very improper.
Well, we've seen that happen too. We saw it last year. I think it was it the Braves who had a Sunday night game at home and then had to play in Chicago the next afternoon. I mean, it's unconscionable scheduling at times. And the Braves never should have been allowed to schedule that game for 7:35 last night. But as we mentioned, the new basic agreement will outlaw that kind of a scheduling nightmare next year. It's not going to take care of all the eventualities, but at least if a team has to travel all the way across the country, they're not going to be subjected to playing a night game and then playing 3 time zones away the next night. Nick Hundley making his 26th start of the year, giving Buster Posey the night off after that long trip home. Hundley played in Colorado last year. Former San Diego Padre, now 33 years old. Crawford at first and nobody out. And the curveball bounced toward third. Flores waits on it. And the wide throw, but Cabrera able to stay on the bag at second and get the force. So good footwork by Cabrera to make sure the Mets got one out there.
Well, no chance to turn the pair. And one thing that Wilmer needs to work on at third base, and that is charge those slow hoppers when you've got a double play. Wilmer lays back and lets the ball come to him. When it's a slow roller like that, or not so in between, you got to go get it. Cut the distance down so you can turn to.
Well, the Mets get the first out of the inning. Hundley at first, and here is Gorkys Hernandez playing right field tonight. He takes a curveball from Lugo for a strike. Hernandez making his 33rd start of the year in the muddled Giants outfield. Playing right field tonight with Hunter Pence getting the night off. Hernandez hitting .211 for the year. His third major league team.
Good changeup right there from Lugo.
Lugo ahead 0-2. Late swing foul. Seth is mixing his pitches well early in this game.
He's a little
ball change up fastball.
He's a little sneaky, his fastball. Whenever you face a guy that's sneaky, and it's hard for me to describe that to you folks, but it is. You've got to be a little more set so you're not caught by surprise at the swiftness of the ball.
Double play ball right at Reyes. Cabrera with a chance for the turn and executes it perfectly for the 6-4-3 double play. See, Terry Collins said he could play second. He can play second. 7. Said, I know Cabrera's not happy about playing second base, but he's playing second base, and I know he can play there.
And here's proof. Even though it's a routine double play, ball hit hard, the footwork is there. No worries that he's going to get taken out. And because the ball hit so hard and because of the rules today, thanks to Chase Utley.
I'm just glad to see him smiling. I mean, that's a nice development, right? And the fact that he's gone 2 for 2 in his first 2 at-bats off the disabled list probably doesn't hurt. But, I think that what happened with Cabrera today in terms of the way he expressed himself to the media rather than to his manager and his general manager was really unfortunate, and honestly might have been a communications issue between himself and his agent in terms of what his agent said he should do. But the words were said and the damage was done. Now the question is, how quickly can you undo that damage, and can you undo the damage of what was said?
Well, you got another week on the road, Gary. You got an off day. You got 3 here. Is it 3 in Miami?
3 in Miami next week, yeah.
So the reason why I don't know is because I don't have those games.
Oh, but you know the schedule.
Well, I do, but I
You follow the game.
My memory sometimes fails me. So it's another week on the road.
Right.
And, you know, things will pass. And I don't think there'll be any more said. It's over and done with. It'll blow out with the wind here in San Francisco, right out to the bay, and adios.
2-2 to Reyes, and that's in tight 3-2 with Lugo on deck. Honestly, I think if Cabrera plays well, then he'll be happy. He'll be regretful about going public the way he did.
And he's going to play.
Right. Well, he's going to play for now. I mean, all bets are off once the Mets bring up Rosario, because then you've got a multitude of guys with Cabrera and Reyes and Flores and Rivera, who you have to figure out who plays, who stays, who goes. But, you know, there's also every possibility that guys are going to be moved. That's too high, ball 4, and Reyes is on with a leadoff walk. So Block sent back out there for the 3rd inning. Walks the leadoff batter, his first walk of the night. Let's look at tonight's Verizon trivia question. Who holds the Mets franchise record for most starts at second base? I think you know this one. I think you might have played with him.
Really?
Yeah.
So Felix wasn't here that long.
Nope. And Fonzie played, you know, some third base as well as second base.
Right.
Lugo drove in a run with a double his first time up, asked to bunt this time, and he takes it high.
So it would have to be the great Waldo Pepper.
Although he did platoon at second base.
I know, that's
so
what's
he didn't
kinda
play every day, but he was here for quite some time.
Yeah. I remember Wally when he came up when the Mets were terrible and he got sent down.
Lugo tries the old butcher boy and fouls it back. 1-1. Lugo has shown that he can swing the bat a little bit. 2 for 5 this year, hitting over 200 for his career. Pulled one between Gillespie and the third base bag for a double to drive in the go-ahead run for the Mets in the second. And a snap throw, and Reyes gets back. Jose is just 2 stolen bases shy of 500 for his career. He's approaching a couple of milestones. That, and he's also moving towards second on the Mets all-time hit list.
Boy, oh boy. He's bunting. Throw strike. That's an old corner infielder bane right here, folks. The corner infielders have to charge, particularly the first baseman. There's a runner on first, you got to hold him on. And nothing griped me more than a pitcher that couldn't throw a strike when a pitcher was obviously bunting.
So Stephen Okert up in the bullpen for the Giants. Lugo gets the bunt down. Nicely done. Hundley double clutches, but makes the throw in plenty of time. 2-3 on the sacrifice, moving Reyes down to second. Second sacrifice of the season for Lugo, who's shown his hitting and bunting ability tonight.
Bat out in front and level, parallel to the ground. Well done. And he's bent at the legs. That is that'll make Buddy Harrelson proud.
So now Granderson, who led off the game with a base hit and scored a run. Then he delivered a run with a sacrifice fly in the second. Now his third plate appearance comes in the third. Curtis, since the 15th of May, so we're talking about 35 games now, is hitting over .330, which now makes the everyday decision making for Terry Collins that much more problematic, trying to move 4 outfielders into 3 positions. Tonight it's Jay Bruce getting the night off, and a call strike 1-1. Mets have been facing a spate of left-handed pitching, and with 3 left-hand batting outfielders among their 4 regulars, that's created a little bit of a log jam. Pulled down to first, dealt behind the bag, nice play, and he hits the pitcher on the run for the second out as Reyes goes to third.
Belt's got a nice glove over at first base. Hasn't got a lot of range. The big guy doesn't move as swiftly. That's what was so impressive to me about Bellinger down in Los Angeles, that 4 games, Gary. His glove is very smooth. For a 6'4" guy, he moved with great agility and quickness. I was very impressed with the youngster.
He had that one error last night that nearly cost the Dodgers, but they were able to work around it.
It's always those routine plays, isn't it?
So here's Cabrera up for the third time, already 2 for 2. Twice has hit the ball softly to left field, and both times it's worked for him. Pop fly that fell in along the line in the first. He tried to get to second and was thrown out. And then a bloop single to right in the second, and he scored in front of Cespedes' home run. So Cabrera, who missed 10 games with the thumb injury, takes a fastball strike. Remember when he went on the disabled list a week and a half ago, he could still hit left-handed, but he couldn't hit right-handed with that left thumb problem. And with the Mets scheduled to face so many lefties in a short period of time, that's why he went on the DL when he did. And he comes back and he's batting right-handed, and he appears to be fine. Slider in the dirt from Block, and it's 1-2.
Well, I'll tell you what, Nick Hundley has had to block a lot of balls. He's getting the work out. He's like, he got in at 5:30. I didn't get to bed to 6 a.m. and I got my work cut out for me.
For a spectrum high-speed pitches on the board.
92.
Lugo by 3.
That's 92. Come on.
Change up off the plate to Cabrera, 2-2. Well, it's been a full night of work for Block already. 78 pitches through the first 2 2/3. NYN Cespedes waiting on deck. And scored a run in the first, 6 in the second. They've got Reyes at third with 2 out. And Cabrera keeps the at-bat alive by fouling off the changeup. Changeup is a pitch that Block loves to throw. Nearly a quarter of his pitches this year have been changeups. Two coming, and Cabrera pops it up. Panic retreating, and that retires the side. Leadoff walk. It's Strand Reyes at third. Middle of the third in San Francisco. 7-1 New York. Block's night is over. Giants will go to a pinch hitter. Aaron Hill will bat for Block, leading off in the bottom of the third. So Block went 3 innings, allowed 7 runs, 11 hits, a walk, and no strikeouts. 1 home run.
That's one to find a garbage can somewhere quick and throw it away.
So you're saying it's a burn the tape kind of game?
It's one you don't want to own up to.
Aaron Hill having a rough go of it, hitting just 134. He does have 4 pinch hits this year. And the curveball from Lugo sits high, a ball and a strike. Denard Span on deck, then Connor Gillespie. And a little number right back to Lugo. That had plenty of spin on it. And Hill retired for the first out. Science of Baseball brought to you by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. More science, less fear. Well, it's been well documented that Seth Lugo gets more spin rate on his curveball than anybody in baseball.
Well, he wraps the ball. Watch his hands. It's right there coming over. Now look at the torque on the outside. Look how he's got that elbow. Look at all that torque on that elbow. It's just an unnatural motion. And it's fascinating to me how the structure of the human body, particularly the elbow, the shoulder, withstands a pitcher's, if a pitcher has 20 starts.
All right, Span has his second hit of the night, jumping on the first pitch curveball from Lugo. Well, it withstands it to an extent. I mean, Lugo's got a partially torn ulnar collateral ligament that he's trying to pitch with.
So my point is, it can't be helpful to be putting that kind of torque on it.
Well, what did Zach Wheeler say the other day when he got put on the disabled list? He said pitching is not a natural act. I mean, you've heard the words before. You don't often hear a pitcher say it, but I mean, that's the case. And that's why no matter what they do to wrap pitchers in bubble wrap to try to protect them, the fact of the matter is that you can't. Here's Connor Gillespie, and he lofts one into left center, overcomes Conforto to get it. And that's the second out. So Gillespie, first pitch swinging, flies out. Conforto gets a nice break on the center field.
He's very athletic. I noticed that, Gary. Gets a good break. He makes all the plays.
I mean, he's not going to be Juan Lagares, but for a guy who, when he came to the big leagues, nobody even thought there was a prayer he could play center field. He's looked pretty good out there.
And I don't think he's really a center fielder. No. He's a corner outfielder.
Well, on this team, he's got to be a center fielder. So 2 out with a runner at first. Here's Panic, who flied one deep to right his first time up. And he takes the pitch outside for ball 1. Joe Panic, the pride of John Jay High School in East Fishkill, St. John's University. And Lugo falls behind him 2-0. Panic was an all-star 2 years ago. Went through concussion problems last year and had a lesser season, hit just .239. And he pops one up. Reyes retreating, Conforto coming on, and it's Conforto to make the catch, and that retires the side. A hit and 1 left. We've played 3 in San Francisco. At 7, Giants 1. Francisco Bay.
More than a few.
Still some daylight left. Some nice breeze blowing. Nice sailing weather. Mets welcome back Dead & Company to Citi Field on Saturday, June 24th. That's tomorrow. Grateful Dead members Mickey Hart, Bill Kreutzmann, and Bob Weir, along with John Mayer, take the stage again as Dead & Company. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Dead & Company. It's interesting. We're reading a Grateful Dead & Company promo in San Francisco about a concert in New York. Corey Guerin on in relief for the Giants.
Oh, the veteran Guerin, 3 years in Atlanta, third season in San Francisco. Journeyman reliever, sinker slider. He's had more success against left-handers. Right-handers have been pretty much tattooing him.
Yoenis Cespedes homered his last time up, his 9th home run of the year. 1 for 2 on the night. It'll be Cespedes, then Flores and Conforto for the Mets in the 4th. That's got a run in the 1st and then 6 in the 2nd. 6 runs on 7 hits, including 6 extra base hits in that inning.
Very peculiar. Look how he has his glove facing downward.
Like a tent. Laced into center field, a base hit for Cespedes, and the Mets get the leadoff man onto the 4th. So that's 4 innings, 4 leadoff men reaching base. And Cespedes is 2 for 3.
Fastball down the pipe, sinker. And you can see why the Giants have had a lot of woes this year. Their team ERA well over 4.6. I think it's 4.69 coming in.
You know, woes can be good or woes can be bad.
But woe is me.
Well, that's bad, right? Woe is me is bad, but whoa, that's good, right?
Oh, I didn't think of it that way.
Right. So you have to balance your woes and your woe. There's the Giants rotation. Johnny Cueto pitches tomorrow. He's already talking about opting out of his contract at the end of the year. Matt Moore goes on Sunday, and of course missing from there is their ace Madison Bumgarner, who's still on the path back to the big leagues. Double play ball for Crawford should be easy. The turn by Panic and the 6-4-3 double play. 2 out and nobody on. Well, the Mets have the 2nd highest team ERA in the National League. Giants have the 5th highest. Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light.
And if you really want to take that a step further, there's not too many teams with ERAs, team ERAs below 4. Only Dos, that's 2 folks.
Dodgers
and Arizona below 4. It is astounding, and it's just what the league has become. More of an offense. We're in a home run year right now. Hopefully it's not a trend that will continue.
Conforto tonight has singled and doubled. He's driven in a run. He's scored a run. Batting with 2 out and nobody on in the top of the 4th. And he bounces one past the mound, but Crawford playing right behind the bag to grab it, and that retires the side. So a quick inning for Corey Guerin in relief. We go to the bottom of the 4th. Seth Lugo back to the mound with a 7-1 lead. Please. Please.
Oh.
Brandon Belt fouls one away. Please. He's being very polite. Darn. Maybe next inning. Belt doubled down the right field line to drive in the only Giants run in the first inning. And Lugo misses high with a fastball, 1-1. It'll be Belt, then Austin Slater and Brandon Crawford for the Giants in the home fourth. And Seth Lugo looks for his second win of the year. It is 100 years to the day since since the greatest relief appearance in Major League history. June the 23rd, 1917. Babe Ruth started for the Red Sox. Walked the leadoff hitter. Got mad at the home plate umpire, punched him, and was ejected from the game.
Oh.
Punched him right in the face. Different era, you know. But he was ejected. Ernie Shore was the relief pitcher for the Red Sox. Came in. On his first pitch, the runner, who Ruth had walked, was caught stealing. And then Shore retired the next 26 batters.
Wow.
The greatest relief appearance
Perfect.
in Major League history. Fly ball along the left field line. Cespedes getting over. And Belt retired one away. For a long time, that was considered a perfect game in the record books, but they later amended what was considered a perfect game. Anyway, let's answer our Horizon Trivia question. Most starts at second base. That should be Moldy Backman.
No, it was Felix.
Oh, I was wrong.
I had a feeling it was Felix.
Okay.
Felix, of course, came over from the Bravos. Number 2 hitter in that lineup pretty steadily, right?
Well, he was part of the Mets' 1973 National League Championship team.
Felix Mignon was one of those guys as a number 2 hitter that could work the count. Wasn't a power hitter. He choked up. He could bunt. He could hit the ball the other opposite field, advance a runner, and he was a good fielder.
Pulled down the left field line by Slater. That'll go into the corner. And Austin Slater has a 1-out double. So the rookie from Stanford continues to swing the bat well for the Giants. He's been a bright spot for them the last couple of weeks.
Gets a hanging slider right here.
So there's the 4th hit against Seth Lugo, and now Brandon Crawford, who walked his first time up. And he grounds one weakly. Cabrera in front of it. That's the 2nd out. Slater to 3rd. 2 away. A lot of Giants swinging early in the count against Lugo these last couple of innings.
And you've got to think about this team. This is a team that has always been very competitive in the hunt. Won world championships. This is a new uncharted territory for them, and you're out of it. Look at that. I mean, they're out of it. They're 21.5. They're buried, and looks like they're off to a 100-loss season, and they can knock the starch out of you, and that's what I'm seeing right here.
Here's Nick Hundley with 2 out and a runner at 3rd. And he takes off the plate for ball 1. Hundley grounded into a force play his first time up. Mets with 7 runs and 12 hits. The Giants 1 run and 4 hits. We're in the 4th. Well, this is the time for the Mets. That's driven to left field. Cespedes comes on to make the grab. Side retired. Mets are facing lesser competition these next 3 series. The Giants, the Marlins, and the Phillies. If they're ever going to make a move, this would be the time. After 4, 7-1 New York. Orlando Resort's 3 amazing theme parks, including the all-new Universal Volcano Bay Water Theme Park. Plus, stay on site at Lowe's Sapphire Falls Resort. Just go to sny.tv/Toyota and enter the Toyota Fan Flyaway Sweepstakes today. 5th inning in San Francisco. Mets with a 7-1 lead. Travis d'Arnaud will lead off against Cody Guerin, who starts his 2nd inning of relief. d'Arnaud delivered a run-scoring double his last time up. Travis now 4 for 12 on this road trip. And he drills that one deep down the left field line, but foul. I have to say, I'm very impressed by the size of the crowd here tonight.
I am too.
For a team that's 21 games under 500. And I know they've sold out every game, but there are many fewer no-shows than you would have anticipated.
It's an event here. It wasn't that way when I was a kid growing up with the great teams with Mays, and a lot of that was Candlestick.
Yeah. Well, this is an entirely different experience.
I mean, most of the Giants, as a kid, they draw down the peninsula, Gary. You know, more they draw now from the city itself, but when I was a kid growing up, they drew down the peninsula, down the West Bay, in the suburbs. And now it's nice to come up here to a ball game, and you have areas, restaurants around the ballpark. You can make an evening out of it. Come up and watch a day game, and then go to dinner. It's fun. It didn't have that at Candlestick.
Well,
Candlestick was in the middle of nowhere.
Plus, you have public transportation here from all over.
Right.
So that certainly helps.
You can train to the ballpark basically all the way down from San Jose. From San Jose, which is like 45 miles away.
Lifted down the right side, belt into foul ground, should have a play, and does, to retire d'Arnaud one away. Well, plus this area is about to get itself another sports facility, right?
Yes, they're going to build the 3 years I think they project to have the San Francisco Warriors. Well, I don't know if they're going to be the San Francisco Warriors
Golden
or still the
State Warriors. They're not going to change the name.
That's like calling Citi Field Shea. I grew up with the San Francisco Warriors.
You grew up with Nate Thurman.
Oh, Wilt Chamberlain, Guy Rogers, Thomas Sherry, Al Attles.
Here's Lucas Duda with 1 out, and he takes a changeup strike from Guerin. Well,
There's
the great
Willie.
Willie McCovey is here. Stretch is a fixture at these games. Said this often, you know, Willie Mays was the greatest star in Giants history by far, maybe the best player ever to play the game. But McCovey was San Francisco's star. Came up in 1959, the 2nd year the Giants were out here. Won the Rookie of the Year in that 59 season, despite the fact he played only about 60 games.
Look at how powerful that swing is.
He was fearsome. Fearsome.
Ted Williams said it was the best swing in baseball of his generation. Of Willie's generation. Ted Williams said that if McCovey would go up there and just try to hit line drives, he said he'd be a batting champion. How about that? But McCovey hit 40 home runs. He hit cleanup all those years behind Willie Mays, who hit 3rd.
Duda rolls over one down to Belt. He'll take it himself. 2 out. And when McCovey first came up, they had Orlando Cepeda, so he played the outfield, right?
Correct. His left field. And then the Giants traded Cepeda in end of the 1966 season, I believe, for Ray Sadecki, who had won 20 games
for the Cardinals
in '66. Sadecki came over here and never really panned out. And Cepeda went in '67. It was the Albertos. They won the World Series. Cepeda won the MVP.
And then he wound up with the Braves, and he played against the Mets in the League Championship Series in '69 in that lineup with Henry Aaron.
Cepeda eventually wound up with all the terrible knees he had, DHing with the Red Sox.
Meanwhile, Sadecki wound up with the Mets in '73 and was part of their National League championship team. Reyes has popped up and walked 0 for 1. Guerin misses 1-1.
I actually was a young kid in spring training. Ray was with the Cardinals, so got to spring train with him one camp.
In which year?
I forget. I was very young, so I wasn't going to make the team.
So that would have been what, 72, somewhere in there?
No, 71st invitee to camp of 74.
So it was the year after he was with the Mets, because he was with the Mets in '73.
Right.
Reyes pops one up. Gillespie drifts over, has room, side retired. So 1-2-3 in for Cody Guerin.
2 hands.
Gillespie manages to hang on. 2 hands in the wind, my friend. 7-1 halfway through. Francisco, Seth Lugo working with a 7-1 lead. Will face 8, 9, and 1 in the Giants batting order. Gorkys Hernandez leads off. Hunter Pence has come out on deck to pinch hit. Hernandez grounded into a double play his first time, and he fouls off the first offering. So the Mets start the night 10 games under 500. Feels like the season is slipping away, right? Perhaps the Mets can draw inspiration from the team they played in the World Series 2 years ago. The Kansas City Royals on May 7th were 10 games under 500. Tonight, the Royals got back to 500. They scored 4 runs in the bottom of the ninth, beat Toronto 5-4. Whit Merrifield had the hit that wanted a 2-run double. And the Royals are now at 36-36, and they are 3 games out of first place after being 10 games under. Grounded to the right side. Ball stays down, but Duda stays with it. And Hernandez retired 1 away. So there's that AL Central. The Indians lost tonight. They got shut out by Adalberto Mejia and the Twins, who are now just a game and a half back. But imagine that, Kansas City from 10 games under back to 500 in a month and a half. So it's, you know, it's worth noting that you can do that it does happen. Now Hunter Pence will pinch hit. Pence getting the night off tonight after the Giants' late arrival. And he bails out and goes down, trying to get out of the way of a curveball that nearly broke over the plate. And in fact, it did break over the plate. And Pence asking the home plate umpire Mike Estabrook what happened. So that was awkward.
Well,
but if we know Pence, the next pitch he might hit a home run.
That's exactly right.
Because awkward is what he does. I mean, if you think about all parts of his game, his swing, his throwing, his running, he does not do it in conventional fashion.
No, he's look at the pants. What is that all about?
The highest pants in the league, up over the knee. Well, this will give you an idea about Lugo's curveball. Whoop. Pulled the ripcord and took a strike.
I mean, that's like a football player, running back without wearing the knee pads.
He's unrestricted. Curveball hit to short. And Reyes throws out Pence for the second out. So 2 out and nobody on. Well, the Orioles tied a major league record tonight. They tied the 1924 Philadelphia Phillies by going 20 straight games, allowing at least 5 runs, and tonight it was 15 runs. Logan Morrison hit his 22nd home run in that game for Tampa Bay. Bryce Harper, the walk-off hit in the bottom of the 10th as the Nats overcame the Reds 6-5, and you saw the Marlins behind Jose Urena shutting out the Cubs tonight. Urena's next start will probably be against the Mets in Miami. He's been pretty good. So Lugo has a chance for his first 1-2-3 inning, but he's got to get through Denard Span, who's already 2 for 2 tonight, and he takes the curveball down for ball 1. Lugo's been able to keep his pitch count low, just 56 pitches to this point, with 2 out in the 5th. He was able to get into the 7th inning in his last start. Went 6 2/3 against Washington through 99 pitches in that game, after going 6 in his first start of the year, or 7 in his first start of the year. There's the ball dude. They don't have ball boys. They don't have ball girls. Here in San Francisco, they have ball dudes. And the curveball rolls in for a strike, and it's 1-2. Or ball. Is she a ball dude or a ball dudette? What's the proper appellation?
I'm not going there.
Don't know. Let's see. We've got to look at the ball dude sheet and see if there's a special.
Are they given special instruction? Because they're different every night, right?
Yeah, new people every night. Let's see. I've got to look at the ball dude sheet.
They got to know what they're supposed to do.
Okay, so Lou Ann Winchell is the woman on the third base side, and she goes by ball dude. Fly ball handled by Conforto. Lugo has his first 1-2-3 inning. So the ball dude's getting the job done, and so is Seth Lugo. Mets have a 7-1 lead after 5. Seth Lugo leads off the 6th inning against the new Giant pitcher Stephen Okert from the University of Oklahoma.
Well, that's perfect. Apropos.
Lugo's had a good night at the plate, an RBI double and a sacrifice, and he's thrown only 59 pitches through the first 5 innings, so he's got a chance to get some good depth into this game. That's got him a 6-run 2nd inning. He was part of that. His double put the Mets in front in this game, and he grounds one toward the middle. Crawford flags it down the spinorama, and he got him. That's what a Gold Glover looks like. Crawford, who won the Gold as shortstop in the National League last year, makes a terrific play to take a base hit away from Lugo.
Well, it doesn't get any better than that. Ranging up the middle to his left. And Gary, the spinorama, as you like to say.
A hockey term.
Full.
Adapted for baseball.
Full circle. Throwing on the run.
Both middle infielders for the Giants won Gold last year. Panic at second and Crawford at short. So here's Granderson, and Curtis takes low and away for ball 1. Curtis led off the game with a single, scored a run, had a sacrifice fly in the Mets' big 2nd inning, and then grounded out. 1 for 2 tonight. And a call strike 1-1. Cody Guerin went 2 innings in relief, allowed no runs, 1 hit. After the starter Ty Blach got cuffed around for 7 runs and 11 hits in his 3 innings of work. And the slider in for a strike, 1-2. Stephen Okert just called back to the big leagues today. The Giants designated Brian Morris for assignment. Morris got hit for 5 runs in that game in Atlanta last night, and they let him go. And so by bringing Okert back, it gave the Giants a 2nd lefty in their bullpen. They have the unlikely combination of Okert and Osich. Josh Osich, their other left-hander. Little number that's going to curl fair, and a base hit for Granderson.
Some English.
Like a Massey. Granderson started it along the line and curled it into the grass, and he's got himself his 2nd hit of the night.
No, some serious English on this. This ball was going parallel to the line and all of a sudden scooted to left center field towards the shortstop. So that's
for all the world like it was going to go foul, and then whoop.
There he goes. Look at that. It's a tremendous shot around the 7 ball. It's 4 ball in the side pocket.
I mean, if you can do that on a pool table, you can make a living that way. Like Wisconsin skinny.
Minnesota Fats.
Here's Cabrera, who's 2 for 3 in his return from the DL. And Hundley slides that one to a stop, ball 1. Let's check in with Steve.
Gary, we've been talking all night about the Cabrera comments before the game today, and one thing to at least be somewhat concerned with is how it will affect the rest of the clubhouse. I checked in with a couple of the guys, and really the prevailing thought seems to be that, especially given the way the season has gone, every individual has way too much on their plate, way too many things to worry about, to concern themselves with what Asdrubal Cabrera said as he singles here for his 3rd hit of the game. The one person that did say something, though, was Jose Reyes. He spoke to Asdrubal Cabrera, and what Reyes said is that Cabrera assured him, yeah, he's got his own things going on, but as long as he's here, he will play hard each and every game. And as Reyes put it, I mean, that's really at this point all anybody can ask on this team. As long as he doesn't go out there and dog it, and we have no reason to believe that he will, and clearly watching what he's doing tonight, he's not, then nobody else really has anything to concern themselves with.
So far, so good. 3 hits for Asdrubal tonight. He's made every play in the field. And the Mets have 2 men on with 1 out for Cespedes, who has a 2-run homer tonight. He's 2 for 3. Mets now have 14 hits in this game. And Cespedes takes a fastball strike from Okert. Well, the one thing that I would say works in Cabrera's favor in terms of all of this controversy that he really made so much worse by going to the media rather than going directly to Terry or to Sandy. The one thing that I would concede to him is that the Mets kind of sprung this on him at the last moment. If they were going to make a move to move him to second base, They could have easily had him play a game or two during his rehab. I mean, he played 2 games down in St. Lucie. He played 1 at shortstop, 1 at DH. But, you know, from Terry's telling of it, he didn't decide until this morning that he wanted Cabrera to move. So, and he felt there'd be no problem. Clearly, Cabrera felt otherwise.
Well, there is a day, and there was a day when you were just happy to be in the lineup.
But let me ask you this, Keith. Just as a veteran player, and Cabrera is a veteran player, and he's been a stalwart for this team for the last year and a half, and he's had a pretty good career. He's not a rookie. Was he owed some notice to make a position switch to a place he hasn't played in a few years?
Yes and no. Is it that important?
I don't know. I mean,
it's not like he's going, okay, we're going to put you in left field.
Right.
We've never played the outfield before. It's a position he's played.
I guess there's 2 different pieces to it, right? There's the piece of, is he prepared to play the position? And then there's the piece of, is he owed the respect of getting a heads up? And I guess maybe those are 2 different questions.
Well, if Terry said he didn't make the decision till now, it's not like he came to the ballpark and saw his name on the lineup. You know, he called him into the office and told him. So, and initially he did not have a problem with it. I think you'd want to be in the lineup, want to be playing. So, for me, I come from a different era. Just get me in the lineup, and I don't think it's that much of an issue, to be honest with you.
Well, it's a huge issue now. I mean, the fact that he went to the media, that was his mistake. And you know,
he went to the media and said that he got led into saying, I wanted to trade. And he was asked, and he said, yes, I want to trade.
Well, he implied it first.
And then he said
I have to make a change. He said, and he was asked to clarify it, and
he did.
He was pretty blunt about it.
Yep.
He didn't really pull any punches. And he said, I have to do what's best for my family, implying that if he plays shortstop, he's got a chance to get a better contract next year, which I think is the thing that's on his mind. And remember, we talked yesterday about a team that's struggling when you have so many pending free agents. I think this is one of the manifestations of that, right? That guys, when the team is not going well, they start to think about their own personal pursuits and where they're going to be next year and whether they're going to get traded and what their value is. And I think this ends up being an offshoot from that.
Well, I think it's far more prevalent because of the money they're making today.
Cespedes drives one to center, chasing Span back, and it's over his head and off the base of the wall. Granderson is in. Cabrera will be held to third. Cespedes with an RBI double, his 3rd hit and his 3rd RBI of the night. And the Mets now lead it 8-1. And that was a bolt off the bat of Cespedes.
This was a line drive you can hang laundry on. This was a frozen rope. And Span, even if he got a great jump, the ball's hit right at him. No chance. Short hops the wall, 399 away.
So now Flores, as the infield comes in, 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. And Wilmer gets a hold of one down the left field line, headed toward the corner, goes Slater, and he runs it down. He caught the ball in fair territory. Tagging at 3rd is Cabrera. He'll come in on the sacrifice fly. 2nd RBI of the night for Wilmer, and it's 9-1 New York. Let's check in with the studio. Eamon McEnany has a game break brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealers. All right, thanks, Eamon. Jose Urena going 6 scoreless in that start. Here's Conforto, who's 2 for 3. He's driven in a run tonight. And Michael takes a slider off the plate for ball 1.
One last comment. I think it's general. It goes back to the history of the game. When a team is a 2nd division team and you're in the second half, the handwriting's on the wall. Players, you can't get you can't let it destroy your season. So you tend to look, okay, I'm going to hit my 300. I'm going to drive in my runs. That's a natural thing, and that's fine.
Is there a but to that?
No, there's not a but to that. I'm just saying you can't. The team goes in the tank. What are you going to do? Hit 230? So you tend to be a little more. Selfish is not the word. It's just you got to do your job. Right, you're paid to go out there, and even though the games are meaningless, you cannot give in. Also on the defensive end too, you got to play hard. You got a pitcher out there that's trying to make a living too.
Hooked in the air to right, overcomes Hernandez. That'll drop for a base hit. Around third, Cespedes. He comes in to score. Conforto has his third hit and his second RBI of the night. Mets have tacked on 3 here in the 6th inning, lead at 10-1. Well, coming out of the cauldron that was Dodger Stadium, this is exactly the kind of night the Mets needed. It exercises many demons.
Well, the worst thing towards the end of the bat there in that breaking ball, let's go with one hand, kind of dunks it in there and has an RBI, you'll take it. Teams that come off a serious sweep, particularly a 4-game series, are the teams I never like to play, even in their second division teams. You just, sooner or later, they got to win. And you never want to catch a team like that, especially in a stretch run where there's always a spoiler in September, and it's usually could be a second division team.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to add one more comment here. We are only at June the 23rd.
Correct.
This is only the 73rd game, including tonight. The Mets have 90 games to go.
Correct.
And while it's very easy to say that they are in an impossible buried situation,
they're not.
The fact is they're not. It's too early to be taking that attitude.
Agreed.
And I think that to me was the worst part of what Cabrera did today. This is not a team that is dead and out of it yet. They might be heading in that direction, and that might be the end result, but they're not there yet.
Right.
And it's a little too early to be jumping ship.
The team that's out of it right now is the team with the orange jersey tops out there today. They're 20-something games out. They're out of it. So, every team has a hot streak. Even the second division teams, they'll have a hot streak. If it clicks with a Washington has to lose. The problem is when you have teams above you, you've got to fight through, catch teams above you. There's more than one team. But this Eastern Division is really weak outside of Washington.
And that's what the Mets have to do, is beat up on those other teams to give themselves a chance. They've got 10 runs tonight, a 10-1 lead in the 6th. that incredible leg kick. How did he do that?
He practiced it, that's for sure. It was like a ballet, his delivery.
I mean, we saw Dontrell Willis kick his leg to the sky more recently,
right.
But nobody had a leg kick like Marichal.
Fernando Valenzuela had the big, looked up to the sky.
Well, he had eyes to the sky.
Right.
But to be able to get your foot almost pointing straight up, which is what Marichal did.
He did.
And be able to keep your balance.
And where did that come from? What was the origins of that? What made him do that? It was so unique in the history of the game.
Connor Gillespie leading off the home sixth against Seth Lugo. And a good changeup by Lugo to get ahead 1-2. Gillespie in his first game back from the disabled list is grounded out and flied out. Joe Panik on deck, then Brandon Belt. Well, you know, Marichal has the record for most wins by a Dominican pitcher, and it looked going into the season as though Bartolo Colon would have a good chance to catch him, but Bart has had such a rough go of it, first with ineffectiveness and now with injury, that Marichal's record might be safe. 243 wins. Lugo gave up a run in the first inning on Belt's RBI double. That's got him the lead in the second, and he's been a stalwart since. And he misses away. 3-2 to Gillespie. He's walked only one. He has struck out only one. And because of those low walk and strikeout numbers, he's kept his pitch count very low. 3-2 coming. And Gillespie just gets a piece of the changeup and fouls it off. Walks have been such an enormous issue for this pitching staff, and obviously the home runs got most of the attention in Los Angeles. Dodgers at 15 home runs in the 4-game series, most home runs the Mets had ever allowed in a series. But the other piece was the Met pitchers walked 24 in those 4 games. There's a strikeout for Lugo as he gets Gillespie, his second strikeout of the night. I mean, last night Met pitchers walked 9. That gets lost in the shuffle of all the home runs.
That should not happen.
I mean, it wasn't just Blevins with the bases loaded walks, but you know, Matt's walked 5 in his 6 innings of work. Probably the most improbable stat in what has been such a disappointing year for the Mets pitching staff is that the Mets staff, with that performance last night, came into today having walked more batters than any staff in the National League. A staff that over the years under Dan Worthen has prided itself on its ability to throw strikes. And it's almost unexplainable.
It is.
I mean, injury is part of it because they've missed their best starting pitcher and their best reliever for a large chunk of the season. But even a lot of the guys who have remained, like DeGrom, like Matz, have seen their walk totals increase greatly from prior years. And what is that? Is that pitching more carefully in a more home run oriented era?
Well, the bullpen's a big culprit too.
Panik lines one into right center for a base hit. Granderson over to play it. And the Giants have their 5th hit of the night against Lugo.
A little slow motion right there.
So Panik with his first hit of the night. And now Brandon Belt has driven in the only Giants run with a first inning double. He's 1 for 2. By the way, Keith, happy Saturday.
Yeah. We're not going to be working on Saturday.
Well, it is Saturday in New York.
In New York, and what the network picked it up. So I get to spend a nice. I get to pick it up with.
Which network?
Oh, well, not ours.
Our network is the only one
that we refer to as the network.
I get to spend the day with my brother and
By the way,
family.
how is your brother? I saw him today. Had a big boot on his foot.
Yeah, he tore his Achilles tendon. He's been just got out of the cast. He's in a cast for 2 months.
What is going on with the Hernandez brothers and their lower appendages?
He fell off a ladder.
Really?
I hurt mine hiking with my producer in Phoenix.
So you're saying Gary hurt his leg doing honest work.
Honest work.
Whereas you
recreation.
lost it in the midst of recreation.
Yes, and he's been 2 months in that cast. He just got out. He's in that boot now for like 2 weeks, so he's been very immobilized. He's not a happy camper.
Those two great young first basemen, the brothers Hernandez, now the Limp brothers.
Because you could say that. You could say that. It's all right.
You'll be back.
I'm already back.
No, but the two of you, as a pair,
okay,
you'll be back.
We got both coasts covered.
3-1 to Belt, and there's ball 4. So the second walk of the night for Lugo, and the Giants have 2 men on. And Dan Warthen will pay a visit to the mound to take the temperature of Seth Lugo, who's only thrown 75 pitches. Not even a hint of warm-up action in the Mets bullpen here in the 6th inning. Well, as Keith mentioned, Fox has the game tomorrow. That's the network he was referring to. Our network will have the game on Sunday.
Sunday day game.
Final game of the series. That'll be Rafael Montero getting the start for the Mets with Zach Wheeler on the shelf. Matt Moore goes for the Giants. 3:30 our coverage Sunday afternoon on SNY, the network. Austin Slater had a double into the left field corner his last time up. He's 1 for 2 tonight. Panic at second, Belt at first with 1 out, and Slater takes below the knees, ball 1. There are the city probables. Jacob deGrom and Johnny Cueto tomorrow late afternoon, early evening here in San Francisco. And Rafael Montero Sunday against Matt Moore. Game tomorrow is 7:15 New York time if you're setting your DVR or making alternate Saturday plans. And a 4 o'clock New York time game Sunday. And it's a call strike. 1-1 to Slater.
Mets are going to get busy down in that bullpen.
Paul Sewald will be the first man up. Sewald, who had a rough night last night. First pitch he threw. Jock Peterson out of the ballpark for the go-ahead run for the Dodgers. And Slater fouls away the slider, and it's 1-2. Brandon Crawford on deck. Well, this has been Lugo's hardest working inning to date. He's about to throw his 20th pitch of the inning. He's gone away from his curveball here in the 6th. And the fastball chopped behind the mound. No man's land and no play. A Baltimore chop infield hit for Austin Slater to load up the bases. So Slater has his second hit of the night, one of the fortunate variety, and that'll get Brandon Crawford to the plate with the bases full. Time for AARP's Getting to Know, the UCLA product. Brandon Crawford. What would you like to know? Gold Gloves, All-Star. Dad was a season ticket holder for the Giants when he was a kid. Grew up a Giants fan here in the Bay Area. Went to UCLA. Now facing Seth Lugo, and he takes a big Swing at a curveball, 0-1.
Good curveball by Lugo right there. Crawford looking for that first pitch fastball. Dropped a hammer on him.
Might have been the first curveball Lugo's thrown this inning, after a ton of them first 2 times through the batting order. Jerry Blevins is up alongside Paul Sewald in the bullpen. That's a little surprising in a 10-1 game. And Crawford takes up and away 1-1. I know Blevins had a rough night last night and probably would like to get right back to it.
Yes.
But at 10-1, your best reliever?
Got a point. Maybe it's the fact that you want to run him back out there after that really just unusual, out of character outing from Jerry.
Well, the only piece of that, again, in addition to the fact that it's 10-1, the Giants have right-hand hitters coming up, and they have a right-handed bench tonight. So there's no lefty in the offing, so it's not as though Perry's getting them ready for a particular left-hand batter. Only a right-hand batter on deck, then Hernandez. 2-1 to Crawford, and he lifts it to center field. Back goes Conforto, going back. Warning track, he makes the catch. Tagging at third is Panic. He'll come in to score. A sacrifice fly for Crawford makes it 10-2. Crawford making a bid for his 5th career grand slam and coming up about 10 feet short.
And once again, Conforto, like an old pro out here in the outfield, picked up the fence well in advance. Well done.
He has done everything the Mets could have possibly asked in left field as well as center field.
Thought he couldn't play defense.
By the way, Michael was really happy about his former Oregon State teammate Andrew Moore, who made his debut for the Mariners last night and pitched 7 strong innings in a Seattle win. Moore was a year behind Conforto at Oregon State. Curveball outside to Hundley, 1-0, and the current Beavers are still alive in the College World Series. Belt at second, Slater at first with 2 down. 25 pitches in this inning for Lugo, up to 84 for the night. And it's popped up foul. Darno back for a look, but that'll be in the crowd. 1-1 to Hundley.
Interesting how we got all these, a lot in today's game, a lot of high number football numbers. 67 and the numbers in the 50s. Lugo has 67. Boy, I wouldn't want one of those numbers.
Used to be you came to spring training, and if you were a non-roster guy or a back of the roster guy, you'd get one of those numbers. And then if you made the team out of spring training, you'd give it up for a better number.
Correct. For my 1 year I was invited to camp, I was 57. I was happy to have it.
And then you got 37.
Correct.
And then
18 my rookie year.
Right.
18. And no offense, Yogi, but 8 wasn't my favorite number. I've never been a guy that liked even numbers. So I was a rookie year, and I couldn't. You just didn't say go up to Butch Yakima in the clubhouse, man, since the 1930s, and tell Butch, I don't want that number. So you had it all year, and then in the second year I went to Butch and said, I want a number with a 7 on it.
Well, you had 18. 8 minus 1. 7.
It's an even number. I always felt they were bad luck. Sorry.
Really?
Yeah.
You have to ask Willie McCovey and Willie Mays about
I know.
2-2 off the plate, full count. You have to ask Darryl Strawberry and Doc Gooden about that.
17 was a good number. I was never really very fond of 37, but I couldn't. 17 was Dizzy Dean, retired. Reggie Smith was 7, veteran, all-star.
Full count to Hundley. The runners go, and he grounds one foul.
27 that year was Mike Anderson, a backup outfielder, and Lynn McLaughlin was 47. I didn't want a number in the 40s, so the only thing available with a 7 was 37, and I took it.
Unless you had kept the original 57, which goes back to the original point, which is that now you get guys like Lugo, who was assigned 67 in spring training and decided to stick with it.
Stick with it, yep.
So far, so good.
Cespedes has got a number in the 50s.
Yep.
Which is surprising.
7th pitch of the at-bat to Hundley, and he walked him to load the bases. 2nd walk of the inning, 3rd of the night for Lugo.
That's a no-no.
And he's now thrown 31 pitches in this inning. And Dan Warthen and Terry Collins keeping a close eye. He's got an 8-run lead, but I'm sure they don't want him to expend too much in this one inning. Which is why Sewald and Blevins are up.
This is why Blevins was up, because top of the order is going to be starting from span. If it's a big inning, you just kind of, you know, Blevins is not, he's not even throwing right now. He's just in case. You don't want to let this game get out of hand and give them any chance of getting back in. They're down 8 runs.
Belt at 3rd, Slater at 2nd, Hundley at 1st with 2 out. Hernandez is 0 for 2, has hit 2 ground balls tonight, and a first pitch curve in for a strike. Kelby Tomlinson has come out on deck for the Giants with the pitcher's spot due up next. 1 run home in the inning. Lugo began the inning with 59 pitches through 5. He's now thrown 32 pitches in this 6th inning. Bases loaded, 2 out, and Hernandez wails at the curveball, and it's 0-2. I always wonder with Lugo, who has that really tight curveball, why he doesn't throw it more. Well, he's just thrown 2 to Hernandez and gotten ahead 0-2. Oh-2 coming, and he misses with the slider. 1-2.
That's some serious gum he's got working there.
One-two from Lugo, and the curveball too high. 2-2. Bases loaded, 2 out. 2-2 to Gorkys Hernandez, and it's lined. Cabrera can't get it. Base hit. Belt is in. Slater is in. It's a 2-run single for Gorkys Hernandez to cut the Mets lead to 10-4. Didn't hit it hard, but just enough to get it over Cabrera and into the outfield. The Giants have scored 3 times here in the 6th inning. It's now 10-4 New York. And that's going to be all for Seth Lugo.
Off the end of the bat on the breaking ball, didn't get it down.
So Lugo, after 5 terrific innings, runs into trouble in the 6th, and he'll exit, and Paul Sewald will come on. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. Mets up 10-4 in the 6th. We'll be right back. Paul Sewald in for the second straight night. Hoping to fare better than last night when he gave up a first pitch home run to Jock Peterson. Facing Kelby Tomlinson, the pinch hitter, it takes up and away for ball one. Tomlinson, the 8th man up in the inning. Giants have scored 3 times in the 6th to cut the Mets lead to 10-4. Hundley at second, Hernandez at first with 2 out. Sewald was charged with 3 runs last night. 2 of them came home on the Jerry Blevins series of bases loaded walks. Blevins is up in the bullpen, ready for Denard Span if he comes up in this inning. Lugo went 5 2/3, 7 hits, 4 runs so far, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, 95 pitches, 36 of them in this inning. 1-1, and Tomlinson fouls back the slider, 1-2. Well, the Yankees pulled one out tonight. Ronald Torreyes, an RBI hit in the bottom of the 10th to beat the Rangers 2-1 after a great pitchers duel between Masahiro Tanaka and Yu Darvish. The first time those Japanese stars have faced each other in the major leagues. They had faced each other in Japan, but never before in the big leagues, and they both were great tonight. One, 2, and Tomlinson down swinging on the fastball, side retired. So Sewald tonight comes in and gets his man and puts an end to the bleeding. 3-run score for the Giants, but no more, as Tomlinson goes down on the fastball. 10-4 Mets after 6. Win. That means the Nats stay 9 games up in the National League East. Here we go to the 7th inning. Mets up 10-4. Lucas Duda up against the new Giants pitcher Josh Osich.
The other O from the left side of the bullpen. 18 2/3. Too many walks, Gare.
He hopes to fare better than Stephen Okert, the other lefty, who gave up 3 runs and 4 hits in the 6th inning. Duda 1 for 3 tonight, and he launches one to deep right field. Hernandez goes back, takes a look, and it's out of here. Lucas Duda with a home run, his 13th of the year. And the Mets tack on a run. It's now 11-4 New York. The Mets' second home run of the night, as Duda has 2 extra base hits tonight, clears the wall in right field. So Duda, who had been hitting .129 with 2 home runs against lefties this year, has a double and a home run against left-hand pitching tonight. And Cabrera is back not only to play second base, but back for helmet removal as well.
Down and in. And maybe down and down and it over the middle.
Reyes is 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. And he goes after the changeup. 0-2.
Right down the knee high, full extension, so that means the ball's right down the pipe. Yep, it is. That's right in Lucas's wheelhouse.
13 home runs for Duda and just 169 at bats. A home run every 13 at bats. Reyes gets tied in a knot and goes down swinging, and that's the first out of the inning. And now T.J. Rivera will come up to pinch hit. So Rivera will bat for Paul Sewald after he retired his only batter. TJ went 1 for 13 in the series in Los Angeles. Jerry Blevins continuing to work in the Mets bullpen, so it looks like he'll be on the pitch in the bottom of the 7th, with left-hand hitters scheduled up for the Giants. And TJ takes below the knees, ball 1. TJ has fared well as a pinch hitter, 4 for 12, including a pinch hit home run. Both Rivera and Brandon Nimmo have shown that they have the ability to come off the bench and succeed in a pinch hitting role, which is fairly unusual for inexperienced players. But as the Mets move forward this season and perhaps rework their roster in certain areas, that's certainly something that management will keep in mind. And TJ pops one foul. Hundley back for a look, but that'll go out of play. And it's 2-2. Curtis Granderson waits on deck. Josh Osich, another Oregon State product, deals 2-2 to Rivera, and the curveball fouled off. Tonight's starters brought to you by People's United Bank. Seth Lugo had a terrific game going through 5, then ran into trouble in the 6th, but he's pitcher of record on the long side. Ty Block had an awful go of it right from the start. Block gave up 11 hits, all in the first 2 innings. 2-2, and a check swing foul on a ball running in on TJ. Osich throws hard. He throws 95, but he doesn't seem to like to throw his fastball much.
Likes his curve. I never liked the orange tops in the Giant uniforms.
Remind you too much of Johnny LeMaster.
Very good, Gary.
Up the middle, and TJ's got another pinch hit. So his 5th pinch hit of the season, a 1-out single. And the Mets' 18th hit of the night.
That's why he didn't throw his fastball, Gary. Gets hit. Got hit. He's thrown 2 and a home run and a single.
So there's the scouting report. Search the fastball. Here's Granderson, who's 2 for 3 and a sac fly tonight. And Curtis lifts one foul. The 18 hits for the Mets, not yet a season high. They had 20 hits in a game in Atlanta earlier this year. They scored 16 runs in that game back on May 3rd. 11 runs, 18 hits tonight. And Curtis swings through the fastball, and it's 0-2. Curtis getting plenty of swings against left-handed pitching these last few days. We mentioned earlier that he hit leadoff home runs against lefties each of the last 2 days in LA. Only the second left-hand hitter ever to do that in back-to-back games. The only other one was actually against the Mets. It was Rick Monday at Wrigley Field in 1976. He hit leadoff home runs consecutive games against John Matlack and Jerry Koosman.
Whoa.
That's a pretty good pair of lefties.
We just left Mr. Monday back in LA.
Yes, we did.
Does the radio for the Dodgers.
I wonder if he knew that Curtis had equaled a mark that only he had held. It's a little obscure.
I wonder, was Rick Monday the first $100,000 bonus baby out of Arizona State for the A's?
He was the first pick in the first draft in 1965.
And you got $100 grand of signing bonus
from the A's, right?
Correct. And I always liked him.
The Kansas City A's at the time.
He was one of my favorite players in high school. They traded him early before he wasn't a part of those winning World Series teams, but he always hustled. Played a heck of a center field, and he hustled his butt off. Excuse my language.
3-2, curveball in for a call, third strike, and Curtis knew it. Second strikeout for Osich as he froze him with that hook. 2 down.
So Rick Monday was traded to the Cubs for a pretty good left-hander, Ken Holtzman.
Yeah, that's a good deal for both sides. Well, of course, Rick is probably best known for his hustle after guys trying to burn the flag
in Dodger Stadium. He was when he was a Cub.
Right. Grabbed the flag away and
it immortalized him.
It really did. That really, when his story is written, it's going to be the first line about how Rick Monday saved the flag at Dodger Stadium. Josh Edgin up in the Mets bullpen. Levin's still watching, so it'll be interesting to see which way Terry goes here. Does he go to his stalwart or does he go to Edgin? Cabrera takes one in the dirt, and Hundley able to knock it down and keep Rivera at first.
I'll tell you what, Hundley's earning his keep tonight. This is not an easy block right here. Well done.
As those legs spread so wide
Yeah,
apart
he
in
does.
his setup. Meanwhile, Cabrera's gone 3 for 4 on a very interesting day in his life. And he lines one, and it's caught by Crawford, side retired. Brandon Crawford showing off the leather again. Takes a base hit away from Cabrera to end the inning. Second terrific play by Crawford tonight. Timed his lead perfectly. Mets had a run on Duda's home run and lead 11-4 at the stretch. Mets lead 11-4, and Jerry Blevins will come in to get some work.
Coming off an aberration last night. Came in that game, we all know that, got the first out, then proceeded to walk 3 batters.
Including 2 with the bases loaded, including 1 to a relief pitcher who'd only had 2 career plate appearances. So it was the strangest of outings for Blevins, who's had such a good year. Comes in to face Denard Span leading off in the home 7th. So I guess it's a matter of did Blevins maybe asking to get back in the game?
I think so.
To get another appearance under his belt and chase away last night's bad feelings. I mean, he said after the game it wasn't a matter of that he hadn't pitched in 5 days and he had rust. He said, I was bad. He said, sometimes you're going to be bad, and I was bad. Did he mention he said he was bad? But this year he has been so good. Got 3 left-hand hitters up in this inning: Span, Gillespie, and Panic. Span is 2 for 3 tonight. So you want to feel old. The Phillies won their 2nd straight tonight. They beat the Diamondbacks 6-1. The starting pitcher for the Phillies, making his first major league start, Mark Leiter Jr., son of Mark, nephew of Al. Through 6 scoreless innings in his first big league start for the Phillies tonight. So congratulations to Mark Jr. Of course, Mark pitched in the big leagues, Mark Sr., and Al pitched with much renown for the Mets. 0-2 to Span, and he slices one down to third. 2 hopper for Flores, 1 out. So the Phillies, who had lost 13 of 14 before last night, have now won 2 in a row. And they've done it with great pitching. Aaron Nola last night, and then Mark Leiter Jr. tonight. And they cooled off a red-hot team in the Diamondbacks, only Arizona's 3rd loss in their last 15 games.
And they were just coming off 2 out of 3 in Colorado. They lost the opening game in Colorado and then just beat them up the next 2 nights.
Here's Gillespie, who's 0 for 3, grounded out, flied out, struck out. For every Mets win, the Mets organization is proud to contribute $2,500 to Northwell Health and the Cass Institute for Women's Health. For the total contribution to date is $77,500 so far this season. Visit northwell.edu/cats to learn more. Gillespie missed 39 games on the disabled list with back spasms. Played 8 games on rehab before being recalled today. To make room for him, the Giants put Eduardo Nunez on the disabled list with a hamstring injury. Nunez had been one of the better bats for the Giants, but unable to play the last few days and finally went on the DL today. Blevins throwing strikes tonight, a hit on Gillespie, 0-2, and the curveball gets him. 2 men down.
What a difference a day makes.
24 little hours.
I'll say one thing for the Dodgers last night. They did not swing at the bad breaking balls. Jerry likes to throw that big old sweeper to the lefties and righties out of the strike zone, and they did not fish. They forced him to throw strikes and got him completely out of his rhythm.
Now Joe Panic, who's 1 for 3 tonight, singled and scored his last time up, and that's the first ball thrown by Blevins, 1-0. Meanwhile, the Dodgers are keeping it rolling, going for their 8th straight win tonight, and they lead the Rockies 5-1 in the 8th. Alex Wood was originally supposed to pitch against the Mets in that series, but they pushed him back to face Colorado, and Wood was terrific again. 6 innings, 1 run, 3 hits, 7 strikeouts.
Dodgers are red hot. They hit any home runs?
Well, it's an interesting question you ask.
They hit so many against us. Excuse me, the Mets.
Puig has a home run tonight.
Puig?
Yeah. Bellinger, a couple of RBIs, but no home runs. Turner an RBI. Seager an RBI. So it's the same old. 5-1 in the bottom of the 8th. So with Arizona losing, if LA wins that game, they would have a 2.5 game lead in that hard fought NL West. Blevins behind on Panic 2-0. Think Puig ran the bases any faster on his home run tonight? 32.1 seconds that last one.
I'm up north. The way I feel, I'm in San Francisco. I don't care what's going on in LA.
Well, if the Rockies took offense in any way, I'm sure we'll hear all about it. Two from Blevins to Panic. And he slices one down to third under the glove of Flores and into left field. Rather than a step and a dive, Flores tried a step and a reach, and it wasn't enough. It's a base hit for Panic, his second hit of the night.
The ball beat his glove here.
Well, I know we've said this a million times. That goes on the ledger as a hit against the record of Jerry Blevins, but it's a hit that shouldn't be a hit. It should be a play made by an infielder. Here's Brandon Belt, 1 for 2 and a walk, and he takes a curveball out of the strike zone, and it reflects poorly on the pitchers because at the end of the day their statistics look worse. But I think when you write the story of this pitching staff, you have to at least somewhat take into account the fact how many plays are not being made behind them. And the curveball fouled off by Belt, and it's 1-1. I mean, as an infielder, you felt a certain responsibility to your pitching staff, didn't you?
Yeah, but it's a reflection on what's on the field out there in the Mets defense. We've mentioned it beginning in spring training that the range of the defense on the infield was questionable. Not even questionable, was a negative.
2-1 to Bell.
So you got guys that put the ball in play on the ground. If you have a good fielding infield, they're gobbled up. If you don't, they're base hits.
Eric Goodell gets up in the Mets bullpen. Two and one to Belt. And there's a strike at the knees. Fastball, 2-2. Well, this I'm sure is going to be Blevins' last batter, because the last thing Terry wants is to lose Blevins for tomorrow. He's got Jacob deGrom going against Johnny Cueto. And you don't want to run up Blevins' pitch count too high here. Curveball hit on the ground. Reyes behind the bag. Throws out Belt, side retired. So a good bounce back for Blevins. A scoreless 7th inning. We head to the 8th in San Francisco. 11-4 New York. box score tonight. 3 different guys with 3 hits. Cespedes with the biggest night, single, double, home run, 3 RBIs, and it's Cespedes who will lead off for the Mets in the 8th inning with a chance for the cycle. And if you want to triple in this ballpark, best recommendation, hit the ball to right center field, which is Triples Alley, 421 feet away. Facing the left-hander, Josh Osich, and Cespedes pops one up. Crawford takes charge of it, and Cespedes retired 1 out. Not home? No problem. Watch every SNY Mets game wherever you are and any device all season long with live streaming presented by Verizon. Just download the NBC Sports app or visit SNY.TV. Your home for live streaming coverage of every SNY Mets game. Here's Wilmer Flores, 2 for 3. He's driven in 2 runs tonight with a single and a sacrifice fly, and he takes outside ball 1. That's got a run in the first, 6 in the second against the Giants starter Ty Blach, and they have not looked back. It is really remarkable, the changing fortunes in this sport, that it was only 8 months ago that these 2 teams met in the National League wild card game at Citi Field. And here they are starting tonight, a combined 31 games under 500. That night it was Madison Bumgarner against Noah Syndergaard. And both those star pitchers have been on the shelf and will be for some time to come. Bumgarner should be back before Syndergaard. Popped up into shallow center. Panic out, Span in, and Panic can't make the catch, and Flores has his 3rd hit of the night. Nice effort by Panic trying to reel it in over the shoulder. Couldn't quite do it. And Wilmer has a 3-hit night. Now this was that October night last year. Bumgarner, Syndergaard, both at the top of their games. Both pitched shutout ball. But it was Jerry's Familia giving up the 3-run homer to Connor Gillespie in the top of the 9th that ended the Mets season and propelled the Giants forward in the National League postseason.
Conforto looking for 4 hits.
That's now with 19 hits on the night, 4 different players with 3 hits. Conforto singled to center, doubled over the head of Span in center field, and then dumped a single into right his last time up. That's 1 shy of a season high with 19 hits. And Osich fires a fastball for a strike, and it's 0-2.
The Seagulls are hovering. They are sensing the end of this game.
How do they know?
I think it's all timing.
Well, it's 9:55 Pacific Daylight Time. Are the Seagulls attuned
I think
to
they
the
are.
clock?
Not the clock. I think they just sense when the game is getting close to getting over.
Now that can be a problem sometimes, because you and I were here for a game a few years ago that went 15 innings and lasted well past midnight Pacific time, and the Seagulls
were everywhere.
Almost interfered with the game.
Yes.
There were so many of them. They felt as though we were intruding on their turf, that it was their time in the time-sharing arrangement.
Well,
baseball had overstayed its welcome and was infringing on Seagull daylight time.
They were taking away from their scavenging.
Well, they get to eat all the garlic fries that are left over after the ballpark is deserted. Have you had the garlic fries?
No.
They are awesome. Conforto down swinging for the 2nd out. 3rd strikeout for Osich. But there's a caveat. The caveat is, if you're going to have the garlic fries, everybody who's with you has to also have the garlic fries.
I hear you.
Because otherwise, they're not going to want to be around you. That's how good the garlic fries are.
They're good to repel vampires.
Well, that works too. Although a steak works too, not the kind of steak you eat, but you know, sharp. Here's d'Arnaud, and he takes a strike. Travis is 1 for 4 tonight, an RBI double back in the second inning. Everybody in the starting lineup has had at least a hit tonight except for Jose Reyes. Seth Lugo had the go-ahead hit for the Mets. That starting pitcher doubled in the second inning to drive in the go-ahead run, as the Mets scored 6 times in the second, tacked on 3 in the 6th, and then 1 in the 7th on Duda's home run. And Travis swings over the changeup, and it's 1-2. The Padres beat the Tigers tonight 1-0. Michael Fulmer, the former Met farmhand whom they traded for Cespedes, last year's American League Rookie of the Year. 7 terrific innings, 1 run, 2 hits, and he lost. Luis Perdomo, 6 scoreless innings for the Padres, and the Tigers have lost 7 in a row. Curveball gets d'Arnaud looking, side retired. 4 strikeouts and 2 innings of work for Osich. We go to the bottom of the 8th in San Francisco. Mets up by 7. Overtime teamed up to bring you all the best high school baller highlights. See this week's hottest New York City hoops moments. Geico Sports Night tonight after the postgame, only on SNY. Seagulls at 1 a.m. Eastern. I like the slow-mo seagull. That's very lovely. Love the wingspan. I'm sure that would have been noted in the NBA draft. Wingspan is very important. Eric Adell will pitch for the Mets in the bottom of the 8th.
His second appearance since his recall, a third of an inning, as you can see. He's got a blank slate almost.
Retired Chase Utley on a ground ball, only boundary faced. Gets a ground ball from Slater. Turning Flores, one hopper, handled by Duda, and they get the out. Poor throw by Flores, good pickup by Duda, and Slater retired, one away.
Well, nice play to the left of Wilmer, but Wilmer gets a little lazy with his arm action all the time, and this results in this kind of throw. And Lucas, long hop, he had it all the way.
Doug Wilmer had trouble pulling that out of the glove, too, which might have given him the poor grip. In any event, 1 pitch and 1 out for Goodell, and here's Crawford, who had a sacrifice fly in the Giants' 3-run 6th as they made some headway. He's also walked tonight, 0 for 1. 2 UCLA guys going head to head, Goodell and Crawford. And a fastball misses for ball 1. Two and 0 to Crawford, and he takes a knee-high strike. Crawford was 2 years ahead of Goodell at UCLA. When Goodell was there, they had Garrett Cole on that staff and Trevor Bauer. It's a pretty well fortified college staff. And the splitter is fouled off, 2 and 2. Well, when Goodell has been successful at the big league level, that split has been a huge part of his success. The problem is it's put so much pressure on his elbow, and he's had recurring elbow problems.
His issue has been command, throwing strikes. He gets in trouble when he gets behind the count.
Two coming, and the curveball bounced slowly. Cabrera waits on it and throws out Crawford, 2 away. Here's the Jeep pitch cast, the curveball of Seth Lugo.
Well, there's a good one right there. Remember, the spin ratio on Lugo is top of the charts. And you see the big break. He even gets away with the high ones. Watch this. Those are high in the strike zone. You don't want to leave him up there, but there's such a late break, he gets away with it.
So do you think that that's a pitch that hitters will go to school on, that if he throws too many up in the zone, eventually they'll be able to adjust to it?
I think he fooled people. Hitters will catch on to pitchers. You never want to leave your curveball up in the strike zone. You want to throw like the first one on that that we showed, down and away, down and in. You want to keep that curve down. You get it upstairs, I don't care how much it breaks, you're going to get hurt.
Nick Hundley is 0 for 2 in a walk tonight. And Goodell throws a fastball by him, 1-1. Mark Melanson is up in the Giants bullpen. The save opportunities have been few and far between for the Giants lately, so their closer looks like he'll get an inning of work in the top of the 9th. Popped it up. Darno and Flores looking for it, and it's in the dugout. And it still counts if you catch it on a bounce. You still get to keep the souvenir.
He gets to keep it. Give it to your son.
I just love the fact that here we are in late June, and there's a guy wearing a winter jacket to the ballpark.
Yeah. It's a little chilly up here.
You got to, right? It was 62 at game time tonight, which is about normal for the summertime in San Francisco. Met fans came ready. Got to have the hoodie. 1-2 from Goodell. And it's foul back. Did Mark Twain really say the coldest winter I ever spent was a summer in San Francisco?
He was being it's actually pretty clever, wasn't it?
Well, he was a clever guy. That's why we remember him a century later. Curveball got him looking. Side retired. Nick Hundley called out on strikes. So 1-2-3 inning for Eric Goodell. And we go to the 9th in San Francisco. Mets up 11-4.
It was the worst pain I've ever been in. I've had a morphine pump, and I pumped until I passed out. It sucked, but that's what I had to do to stay on the field. If I didn't have the surgery, I probably couldn't play anymore. So I had to do it.
Seth Lugo talking about his back surgery on Mets Insider, presented by WB Mason, Sunday at 7:30, only on SNY. Well, the Giants signed Mark Melancon to a 4-year, $62 million deal. It has not gone well so far.
Well, you can see the more hits than innings pitched. It's the highest hit ratio per 9 innings of his career. He's 11 of 15 in saves.
4 straight terrific years, first in Pittsburgh, then the last half of last year in Washington. As many as 51 saves in a season. Getting some work here in a lopsided game. Lucas Duda already has a double and a home run tonight. He takes a rip at the cutter from Melancon, and it's 1-1.
He's appeared in just 6 of the last Giants' 28 games. That shows you how badly the Giants have been going.
Melancon now 32 years old, started out with the Yankees, then the Astros, went to Boston where he had a rough time of it in 2012, but hit his stride once he got to Pittsburgh in 2013, a 3-time All-Star. 47 saves last year. And Duda cracks another one to deep right center field, back toward the wall, and it's in play off the top of the fence, and Duda will go to second base. Well, he hit it to the deepest part of the ballpark, just above the 421-foot sign. Nearly got it out of the ballpark. Let's see where it hit.
I think it was on a foot shy. Yeah, I think it hit below the on the brick. Oh no, on the white on the horizontal top.
The Mets want the crew chief review, but it certainly did not appear as though that ball was out of the ballpark. Now the umpires are first going to huddle to talk about what they saw before they go to video review.
Oh.
Did not appear to touch the fan, and it did not go over the wall.
I think it did touch the fan.
Do you think?
I think it touched his right hand or forearm. He missed it, but I don't think it would have been out.
Yeah, I don't. Even if it touched the fan, I don't think it was going out of the ballpark.
Watch the right. Watch it. Boom. See it go.
Oh yeah, it's a little bit of a carom.
It's like the magic loogie.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going out if he doesn't touch it.
Right. It's not a home run. Let's make it snappy and
so
Chelsea.
The umpires will go to the crew chief review. Jerry Davis's crew and Jeff Kellogg's crew are in the bunker in Chelsea. Late night for them. Play under review brought to you by Mazda. Driving matters. So Duda either way will have his 3rd extra base hit of the night, either his 2nd double or his 2nd home run. And a great sign either way for Duda, who came into the night just 5 for his last 37.
That's a tough call.
You know, it's got to go over that white stone there.
That's a tough call.
I don't think it would have.
And I don't think it's conclusive.
The call on the field from the second base umpire Tom Woodring was that it was not out.
And that's a Met fan. That's the Met logo on the shoulder.
Yes, it is.
Cost his first baseman a home run.
Well, I don't think it's going to be a home run either way.
I think it's going to be a dub.
I mean, Lucas would love to have his 2nd of the night.
Come on, guys.
You know what I've never asked? When there are early games and late games, do part of the crew do the replays for some and part for the other? And they confirm, Jerry Lane, the crew chief, that it is not a home run. So Duda settles for his 2nd double of the night. 2 doubles and a home run for Lucas. So that's his 14th double of the year. And now here's Reyes, who's the only Mets starter tonight without a hit. Jose is 0 for 3 and a walk. So the Mets with their 20th hit of the night, and that ties their season high. They had 20 hits in a game twice earlier, once in April, once in May, and now once in June. And boxed around by Hundley, but he keeps it in front of him. Ball 1.
I wonder they're crossed up there.
Brandon Nimmo out on deck to pinch hit. After Eric Goodell threw an impressive bottom of the 8th inning. Addison Reed is up in the Mets bullpen. Looks like both closers are going to get some work tonight in a lopsided game. Melanson greeted by the long Duda double. Now 1-0 to Reyes. His cutter in the dirt, 2-0. Melanson has been a relentless strike thrower in his career. Last year, for the full season, 1.5 walks per 9, and even better after he got to Washington. In his 30 games with the Nats, only 3 walks in 29 2/3 innings. But now he's behind on Reyes, 3-0. This year he's only walked 2 batters in 18 2/3. And he walks Reyes on 4 pitches. How about that? So the Mets have the first 2 men on in the 9th. And now Brandon Nimmo will pinch hit. First, let's check in on what's coming up on WB Mason Postgame Live. Gary Apple, Jim Duquette. What you got, guys? All right, gentlemen, it's a good thing you're ready because the Seagulls are ready as well.
They're impatient.
They're ready to take over the joint. Brandon Nimmo drew a walk as a pinch hitter last night. He comes up here with 2 on and nobody out. And Nimmo takes it high from Melanson, who's having trouble throwing that cutter for strikes. Nimmo 1 for 4 and a walk in his assignment since coming up from Vegas. The birds are getting lower and lower.
I've never seen Melanson struggle like this to throw strikes.
This with 6 in a row out of the strike zone since the Duda double. Two and 0 to Nimmo, and that's a strike. 2-1. Well, the Giants are going to get George Contos down to the bullpen because, similar to the Mets with Blevins, they do not want Melanson to throw so many pitches that he's not available tomorrow. He's only thrown 11 so far, but he's having trouble throwing strikes, and he hasn't gotten an out. And he jams Nimmo with that cutter. That's the A cutter from Melanson, and it's 2-2. What is it about closers and cutters? Rivera, Jansen, Melanson. Grounded slowly. Belt's only play is to first. Melanson covers for the first down, and the runners advance to second and third. So 1 out now. Curtis Granderson, who's 2 for 4 in a sacrifice fly tonight. He had a base hit to open the game, came home to score. Giants tied it in the bottom of the first. The Mets then went on to score 6 runs in the second inning, and they've not looked back. Meanwhile, the Dodgers tonight won their 8th in a row. They beat the Rockies 6-1 behind Alex Wood. what is now 8-0 to start the season. Giants bring the infield in here in an 11-4 game. And Granderson takes a cutter for a strike. So after Kenley Jansen got the 4-out save against the Mets last night, he was not needed tonight. So it worked out perfectly for Dave Roberts, but just about everything is working out perfectly right now for Dave Roberts. Granderson pops one up, shallow left. That may fall in. Slater, though, comes in to get it. Slater covered a lot of ground because Crawford was not going to get there with the infield playing in. And that's the second out of the inning.
He closed quickly here, Gary. Got a good jump on it.
So now 2 out, and the infield can drop back with Asdrubal Cabrera coming up. Cabrera 3 for 5 in his return from the disabled list tonight, and that will take a lot of the sting out of his pregame comments when he said he did not want to play second base and that he wanted to be traded. In the lineup nonetheless at second base. He's made every play and he's had 3 hits. Now he bats left-handed for the first time, and he takes a strike from Melanson. Another sellout crowd at AT&T Park tonight. The 522nd consecutive in the regular season. But many of those folks have gone home now with the hour of the evening and the score. 0-2 now to Cabrera. Well, if Cabrera can keep the inning going, Yoenis Cespedes would get another crack at the cycle. Cespedes with a single, double, and a home run tonight. But he would require Cabrera to get on base to give him another crack at it. (0-2) from Melanson, and the cutter on the inside corner gets him looking, and that retires the side. We go to the bottom of the 9th in San Francisco. Mets 3 outs away from a win. Francisco, Mets trying to snap a 4-game losing streak. A 7-run lead, but Addison Reed has not pitched since Sunday, so he'll get the bottom of the 9th inning.
Non-save situation here. Just going to get some work.
Gorkys Hernandez first man to face him. Hernandez drove in 2 runs with a soft single to center in the 6th inning that chased Seth Lugo from this game. Lugo went 5 2/3, allowed 4 runs, 7 hits. He stands to be the winner. Paul Sewald, 1 batter. Jerry Blevins and Eric Goodell each a scoreless inning, and now Reed trying to finish it off. Buster Posey out on deck to pinch hit with the pitcher's spot due up next. And the fastball from Reed goes by Hernandez's bat, 1-1. Addison's last outing Sunday worked a scoreless ninth against the Nationals. That's the only game the Mets had won in their last 8 games coming into tonight. Lost 3 out of 4 to Washington, got swept 4 by the Dodgers, but now starting this stretch against teams that are under 500 and hoping for better fortune. Fly ball to right for Granderson, and Curtis puts it away, 1 out. I wonder if it's hard looking up at the night sky through the seagulls to locate the baseball. I mean, if you get a ball near a seagull, it's white on white, it might be a problem. Now Buster Posey, who didn't play tonight because of the Giants' late arrival. Buster, the only Giant bat that's been going this season, hitting .344.
$10 home runs and 28 RBIs.
Gives you an idea how little traffic there's been on the bases around him. And Posey lifts one out to left center. Cespedes back to get it. Onto the warning track, 2 out. So 2 up and 2 set aside on fly balls by Addison Reed, and that leaves the Giants down to their final out. And Denard Span coming up. Span is 2 for 4 tonight. Singled and scored in the first inning when the Giants tied the game. Mets tonight with 20 hits, matching their season high, and starting to try and wipe away some of the ugliness of the last 4 days in Los Angeles. And Span goes after the first pitch slider, 0-1. Tomorrow afternoon, Jacob deGrom against Johnny Cueto. Late afternoon here, early evening in New York. That game is on national TV. We're back with you Sunday for the final game of the series, with Rafael Montero making the start. That's a 4 o'clock game New York time. And then the Mets go to Miami for 3. And Span takes a strike, and the Giants are down to their last strike of the night. Now the 0-2, and it's well up high. Addison Reed trying to put on the finishing touches. Hit toward the middle to his right, Cabrera, and a low throw handled by Duda, and the ball game is over. A 1-2-3 inning for Reed as Dribble Cabrera handled every play at second base, had 3 hits to boot after his controversial remarks before the game, and the Mets get to shake hands in California for the first time this year as they overwhelm the Giants with 20 hits and win tonight 11-4.
Well, they snap a 4-game losing streak. Of course, those 4 games were in Los Angeles. Their first win on the road, 20 hits. 5 guys in the lineup with 3 hits tonight. So the Mets bang out a season high 20 hits, hit 2 home runs. Cespedes on his 9th, due to his 13th.
Here's your game summary presented by Tri-State Buick. Seth Lugo gets his second